do have access to this Weaver for some degree of protection later on down the line. One of the things that I've seen often is that teams definitely prioritize ways to be able to deal with this Tidehunter if it emerges this early in the draft. There's no Monkey King in this game, no Disruptor just yet. Do you think Balrogs are going to focus on it, or do you think they're rather just going to let it happen, say, well, you guys on the side of Wolf Team are going to be playing the specific heavy team fight style. We understand that, we just need to be able to protect the Medusa and then it'll be okay.
I definitely think that the Weaver makes for a good start to that, and the Medusa is going to have a good lane versus this Tide, right? So not too much of a problem there. I'd like to see them pick up a break somewhere though. I'm thinking about a Doom here. This is a big threat for both Tidehunter and an Invoker, big early BKB builder, but I mean, why am I talking about Doom when, of course, the RoboZ Kunkka is still in the pool? And here we have another great teamfight director. It was you that I talked about the Kunkka with, right? The teamfight director waving his baton around.
Yep, the conductor in the middle of the teamfight there doing his thing. Is it going to be... I'm looking at this game though, right? And one of the things I really see about this Kunkka though is whenever I see this hero with Medusa, I get terrified of Coco Rum and just how much extra time that this hero has. The Medusa's effective HP now does seem a little bit through the roof, and it's a little bit more difficult to catch her and close her down as well, with Kunkka being there to provide so much disruption and chaos in that area of the fight.
Yeah, and the damage over on our way right now is mostly magical damage out from the Invoker. And they're going to have to make the kill happen basically during the Ravage, which is a tall order. Now with the Hoodwink, there's the break. Excellent Tidehunter counterpick. Especially with the range as well, it makes it very easy for any hero that jumps to kill a Tidehunter in combination with a Hoodwink. You usually see this one paired up with something like a Void Spirit, but any of the Spirit Brothers will do, or... The only thing with that is that would mean that this is not a RoboZ Kunkka, because they'd have to put him over on the side lane, which would make me a little bit sad, but at the same time, they could definitely use some more engagement tools up in here. So the other option is an offlaner that's going to provide that, but a lot of the jumping offlaners are out. The Tidehunter is, of course, the big Blink Dagger builder in this game, but the other ones would be a Mars or indeed the LC, and both of them have already been taken out.
Yep, sadly, long gone are the days where we have people playing Blink Dagger on Beastmaster or anything like that. And whoa, okay, this is an intriguing one. Wind Ranger does emerge now for the side of the Wolf team, currently tagged up as our way, but remember they are a Wolf team, they've changed up in that regard. This, where does this go firstly? It looks like a 4-position Wind Ranger at this point in time. I suppose it does help you with some laning prowess. He's a hero that has some degree of catch later on, but this is also, I was expecting when I saw like the way the draft was trending, right? That ban on the Lion just now, I thought that was going to be a hero that you really want. Of course, you know, it gets taken away in the second phase, but those style of heroes is what I was anticipating. Sure, you can still buy the Blink Dagger on this hero and use that as an initiation tool, but not always the most typical way that we see 4-position players playing this out. Or is this like one of these South America specials that we have coming out here?
No, I think this is King RD being a bit more of an experimental player. He has played it a bit in pubs recently. And yeah, they have decent stuns here, especially with the Gyrocopter. You can usually get a stun on somebody and then you want to follow up one with the Wind Ranger. Shackle's very nice long disable if you can get it, and she does provide a ton of damage. But in terms of actually forcing fights with your Pos 4, it's no Tusk.
Yeah, definitely not. It's definitely no Tusk. Tusk is one of these heroes that of late I've been so impressed whenever I see that hero getting played, and especially with Tidehunter. Just the various counts of interesting plays you can have with these two heroes. A nice small cone of space for both Anchor Smash and Ravage to be super effective. And a save to make sure that you have an even harder time killing this Tide. So, kind of surprised that that is the case, that they go Wind Ranger instead. So, we'll have to see what the decision is going to be from them from here on out. What comes next? What comes next year? What do they need still for both Balrogs and the side of the Wolf team?
Well, Balrogs, you see they're hedging their bets here. They're thinking, this might be a core Gyrocopter, so we'll ban out the Oracle. But it might also still be that pesky support Gyrocopter, so we'll take out the TB just in case. And that's the venom in a flex pick, and like a specific team-based flex pick, right? With our way, you really don't know which way they're going to go because they've played both, and they've played both very recently. So Balrogs are just going to have to... One of these bans is completely useless because our way wasn't going to go that way. I should say Wolf Team wasn't going to go our way.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That was lovely. Oh, lol. We're getting to the very end of the draft right now. Balrogs still need to decide right now whether Kunkka's going into the safe lane or into the mid. So 20 seconds to have that option get catered to right now as well. For the Wolf team, we're still looking for, I would imagine, our pos 5 hero in that direction. And Balrogs...
I still think it's going to be Gary.
Oh, okay. I did not see this Brewmaster coming. This is something that I did not see coming from a mile away. Where did this come from? Where is this emerging out of? Why is there this last pick Brewmaster in this situation for the Balrogs?
SA has been playing quite a lot of Brewmaster with mixed success, but at the very least, either a Hoodwink Brewmaster lane or a Weaver Brewmaster lane is going to be a ton of damage. It's actually very oppressive. A Gyrocopter is not going to be able to stand safely against this lane, and I think that will push our way into grabbing themselves a carry here, and you can see them thinking about it.
Some time to make this consideration. What's left that's good against Dusa?
Ursa,
yeah. Ursa's good against everything here, actually. Like, this feels like a...
Every single time people pick the Dusa, leave the bloody Ursa open, and I sit back and I'm like, well, I get this one.
Let's hope that Wolf team will repay this faith. Come on, y'all. 30 seconds to pick up the big bear. We've already got one bear on the other side. Might as well double it up and add 2.
I'm game to see a bear brawl on the top lane. Ursa is a little bit annoying versus Kunkka, versus Weaver. There's a lot of kite. The X marks is going to mess with you. You're going to get pushed around by the Kunkka. But if you can stick on top of people in this game, like at least during your BKB window, you are going to be absolutely a god.
And this is why I keep calling you the Empress of the casting scene. She knows what's up. This is why you gotta hire and listen to Kips. Reading the Ursa pick at the very end, reading that they still needed a carry in the situation. They pick it up. Now they have the HFN bear ready to go and chomp down on pretty much everybody on the other side here. And this is the definite best lost pick they could have gotten. You said yet every single time you see these Medusas fail to ban out the Ursa at the end of the draft. What happens in those games? Please tell us what the situation is going to be here.
They get eaten alive, and it's not pretty. The problem is really that Medusa can't actually stand versus the sheer burst damage output. Like, you get one ult, but Ursa, especially since and this has been a while, right? Especially since the change with the little Earthshock hop, is pretty good at disengaging. Previously, he always used to be all in, and I think ever since that change, and ever since people have been starting to build Diffusal Blade on Ursa, the Medusas just get shredded. And she's the one that's going to have to stand in the middle of this team and dish out the damage, because that's the other thing. After the peak of this Hoodwink is over, it's a Kunkka and a Brewmaster. You mostly have tanks here at the ready. Who are you going to kill while this Ursa and this Invoker are running circles around you? It's going to be very rough for Balrogs. They don't have the core matchup here, and in the team fights, a lot comes down to Draken here, but I think he's also going to have a rough time in lane.
Certainly doesn't seem like it's going to be the easiest game here for the Balrogs. And they won the matchup in the qualifiers against the side of Wolf Team, going up, or Wolf Team won rather, but they won the first game on the Balrogs. But I don't see how that's going to happen again here. Feels a bit complicated, feels difficult. They'll certainly have to bring their best foot forward. And as they get into the game, I suppose now the one thing that they can at least start thinking about is what are the ways in which they can open up space for the Medusa ASAP. It's not like Ursa's going to be running at you from minute 0, so do you think they're going to have any interesting lane configurations just to try and eke out an earlier advantage to make sure that the mid game isn't as rough as it could be?
I think their laning stage looks pretty decent, actually. Like, as I said before, this Medusa is going to have a good lane versus the Tide. The Kunkka Invoker one is another one where the Kunkka should do pretty dang well. Although I have recently seen at least one Invoker run away with this matchup, but that's a rarity. It's mostly just a sustain lane for the Invoker. Make sure that you don't get pushed all the way under your tower, and dodge some of the splashes by sidestepping them if you can. And at the very least, with the cost regen, you get to stay.
Yep. Regen is going to be very good here. Might see a small contest happening in this top lane as they're stacking up around this Ursa. Do they have what it takes to get this kill? HFN gets bushwhacked back towards a tree and they're trying to body block here, but unfortunately not going to end up happening. Zisha sadly just has to watch the bear walk away. Still at least force him to use some of the earlier regen here. And now you have the positioning to be able to claim the top 2 bounty runes. I think this is good enough, right? I don't think you need to take the additional risk of trying to fight for the other ones as well.
No, I don't think you have to. And this was a pretty big blow for HFN. Like, he's going to be almost fully regened up by the time the laning stage comes around, but now he's not going to contribute anything here.
Yeah. Just has to watch his allies moving out on the map as the horn will sound. And this game is getting underway. The lower division of South America's DPC will commence and continue with Balrog Esports taking on the side of Wolf Team. It's a lot of pride on the line, you know, and a lot of journey to go. Obviously, we want the Balrogs to look for revenge from what happened in the qualifiers, but both teams not really thinking about the qualifiers anymore, right? They're thinking about how do I get myself into the upper division, make sure that I win all these matches, make sure that the time the next season rolls around, I'm already well on my way towards entering TI.
Yep. I mean, if you look at the roster of Wolf Team here, and I think a lot of people, if they're not in SA, they will know these players because they were on SG Esports last year. These are international players. They're in Division II right now.
Yeah. So definitely they've proven and they've demonstrated that they can hang not just with the big boys in the upper division of Division I, but in the international stage as well. They can make things happen. We'll see how this game pans out for them. In this top lane, take a look at HFN, who on the bear started off a little bit slow, given having to contribute a lot of his regen to just stay alive. But in this lane, he should still be able to get the farm that he needs. And you were mentioning that this is definitely going to be a game where he builds up the diffusal blade, right? And certainly, I love the diffusal option, especially when you have gyro as support as well, because then you're not really worried about having to do the hard work of helping to close down these targets before you get there with the item. So 40R versus RoboZ, you did mention already that this is a matchup where just a sustain lane for this Invoker. Try to make sure that you never get really fully pushed under the tower. Should be able to be fine. I don't think we're going to have any major issues for this Invoker in this game. Does anybody build anything weird in this game now that I think about it? Feels like a very standard matchup for most of the players, right, in their roles right now.
Yeah, I think so. I don't really see any reasons to deviate in particular. Like, I think the most different builds you might see coming out here are on the offlaners. The Tidehunter.
Speaking of offlaners,
Could go for a hood.
in the top lane, the offlaners almost got a kill onto HFN. Here in the top lane, Balrog Esports playing aggressively with Draken and Zisha, and they almost got HFN dead again. Fortunately, he does manage to TP out at the very last second, but that does not bode well. It's kind of a bad sign of life for this bear going forward, and they do definitely need this Ursa to have the best possible start to the game. The last thing you want from this bear is for him to be struggling whilst this Brewmaster is just creating havoc and chaos for the rest of the team. Especially since this Medusa, yeah, she has fewer CS, but hasn't had to commit nearly as much of the regen gold just to sustain and survive this lane down here on the bottom side of the map. So still somewhat slow early game. Nice bushwhack though, flying out onto Tavo. Burner. Throws in some damage. There's a Mystic Snake as well. Does have the magic stick to pop and also had the Ring of Health ferried in already. Tavo will be A-okay in this situation. But yet again, we do see that it's the side of Wolf Team that's committing a lot of their early gold just to be able to secure regen for themselves. In fact, it's pretty much only this mid lane with the Kunkka where he, just got burned down a little bit now. We'll have a water rune fairly soon to pick up and still has a bounty in the jungle. But pretty much only RoboZ that's been allowed to play the game out Oh, sorry, the Invoker has been allowed to play the game out without having to overcommit on regen, survival, keeping his presence in the lane. But everybody else having a little bit of concerns in that regard, and Balrog Esports will take full advantage of the situation by free farming on Burner. They bring him a salve as well, just for good measure. It's the first one I think they've used in this side of the map, so definitely don't mind having to commit that gold to make it happen. And they go back onto Tavo with a bushwhack. Alrighty. Not going to be enough damage to kill him, but definitely going to be enough damage to zone him away until the Ring of Health kicks in a bit more.
Yep, and this snake is going to continue giving him trouble here, especially as his support stays away for now.
Speaking of that support, they're top lane, throwing out a power shot with the shackle out onto this Weaver, and Weaver will die. My goodness, HFN gets it with the Earth Shock a second before the Wind Ranger dies. They almost lost out on the first blood, but a clutch moment of decision making from our bear allows him to get the first blood. And now all is forgotten, right? Doesn't mind whatsoever that he's had to commit as much gold as he has just to stay alive in this lane.
Yep, that helps him out a lot. But it is still concerning that they're forced to bring their support over on top and completely ditch Tavo in his bottom lane to get any pressure going at all. And Gyrocopter, not the best of tri-lane supports. Great tri-lane carry because he has a stun, but a sucky tri-lane support. You need levels on this hero.
Unfortunately you do. Unfortunately you do. Gyrocopter, you can't just play him and be like, oh, it's fine. Just play him as pos 5 and everything's okay. You need to give him something, and they are definitely recognizing the need to keep committing here as middle. Oh, we see a jump onto 40R. They really want the kill. RoboZ combos up with the Weaver to find the kill, and they're also going to be connecting onto the Brewmaster in the top lane, though, from the side of Wolf Team. So they will not allow the rotation to go unpunished. Something happens in the mid lane, they do something up on top. Unfortunately, though, like you mentioned, this does rob a little bit of the experience away from the Ursa Gyrocopter. But the big thing is that they didn't allow this Kunkka to just get this kill for free here in the mid lane after they rotated out the Weaver.
Yep, very important. And Tavo's flying in his hood right now, so he's going to have the sustaining power to, at the very least, stay on lane versus Burna. He can't do anything about the Medusa, but at least he's going to be able to keep his CS up. And he has been doing pretty well, in fact. I for sure thought that this would be going way worse.
Yeah. That early pickup that they got on the Ring of Health really did change the game for him. Allows him to just maintain this permanent presence here. And I think as well now, we see that Burna Hoodwink has abandoned a little bit to try and stack and do things elsewhere and respond to some of the pressure out on top. So I think in this 1v1 matchup, you definitely get even happier as Tavo, right? There's very little threat that Medusa, all by her lonesome at this stage, can present to you.
King RD, top.
In a bit of trouble here. Shackle shot though goes back onto the Weaver, and wow. Okay, the bug bit off a lot more than it could chew. And it gets eaten alive here. HFN, second kill of the game. The bear is getting its claws bloody early here, Kips. And this is not a... It's one thing to give away the one kill to this Ursa, but when you get 2, 3, 4, all pre-10 minutes, things get a little bit worrying.
Oh yeah, they're getting dicey.
See, a small fight might happen here around the river, though. King RD stows in the shackle shot, doesn't connect onto anything. They try to TP out with the jab. That was way too optimistic. Come on, fam. That was never gonna happen. Like, really? Seriously? Right next to the Roshan pit, attempt to get out of that situation. I mean, is it really that bad, though, to die there? Sure, it's gonna suck to not be able to TP out, but you did draw quite a lot of commitment, though, from this Balrog heroes. Or is it too early in the game for that really to be a factor in terms of the kill and its distribution of gold in the opposite direction?
I think it's a little bit early. Like, honestly, if you look at the laning stage here, I think both teams are happy with what they got. Of course, 40R got pressured out of the mid lane pretty heavily. And Draken is the only one. He's a Brewmaster, right? He doesn't need that much. He just needs to be in the right place at the right time with his ultimates. But this rough start makes it slightly harder for him to do that.
Yeah. Definitely does make it harder for that to happen and happen reliably in these situations. So 40R, I'm very happy that he's going to be going for the Xiangyu here Spirit Vessel. As we see top, quick jump onto this Hoodwink, And will this be a kill? Not just yet. Double damage win on the Wind Ranger, but not able to get a kill just yet. And now heroes are streaming in to find some revenge. They managed to get the one, but Tavo also porting to the side of the map. They really want to try and get a kill onto RoboZ. The bear has used the Brewmaster split, and he's using it very, very well on Draken to ensure that they cannot chase down RoboZ. Both Tavo and HFN will feel their time's been wasted. Sunstrike doesn't connect onto the Hoodwink, but unfortunately Yadomi still chasing RoboZ. Fairy Fire keeps him alive for now. The second degree of Rocket Barrage, more than enough damage to finally get the kill. And this fight is breaking out in several directions because Draken managed to bring down HFN. Will certainly pay for this though with his own life. Becomes a 2-for-1 trade, 2 cores just for the bear. That was a very weird fight.
Ravage.
Oh, did they use Ravage?
They used Ravage, yeah.
Oh,
Tavo
no.
thought that he could actually save the Ursa with that, but unfortunately his physical damage wasn't actually enough, so the Brewmaster still got to him before.
Oh no. No Ravage. So you trade Brewmaster split for Ravage, and then the 2-for-1 life trade. Well, 3-for-2 actually, if
Pretty
you
good.
consider the supports as well, but down bottom. Hoodwink, a little bit of danger. There's a bear trying to chase you down right now. You need to be very careful about what HFN is trying to do. Not going to be happy about having lost his life and will very quickly vacate that side of the map. Do you think you're going to be finding... Do you think they try and actually force a fight down bottom? Or do they just bring heroes to help him take the tower so he can start farming up in the jungle towards the Diffusal +1? Probably the Blick Dagger in this game.
Yep, that's probably the choice right here, and they're anticipating the Medusa going towards the triangle as well. The only problem that they have here is, of course, that they've left Tavo on the top lane, where normally you can be a big threat by, hey, if you group up here, I'm gonna ravage you and you can't take my tower. As Yadomi snipes another kill. This guy, man. But yeah, Tavo can die on this top lane, so this move is a little bit more dangerous than normally. They really didn't want to spend that ravage.
60 seconds basically until we
And
have
they're going for
Ravage
mid?
back online. Mid lane. Will they be able to find this kill onto RoboZ? Wind Ranger getting closer. Shackle Shot doesn't connect. Beautiful dodge out from the Kunkka. And the Ice Wall not enough to slow him down either. And as he gets back, he'll just be happy to survive. They do take the bottom tower, and they might be able to return in time to defend top. Tavo, 30 seconds until he has Ravage. Yadomi will be the first one streaming into here, but 40R and this Wind Ranger are smoked up here, kids. They want to try and come for this fight as well. They want to defend this tower, not allow Balrog to take it for free.
Even though they have several TPs down or heroes without TP scrolls, they are actually moving everybody up top just by simply walking. And now that Ravage will be back. The Primal Split, of course, has also returned. X marks onto Tavo.
Might need to use the Ravage right now because he's been caught up with these spells, and they have the kill literally a second before Ravage comes fully back off cooldown. Tavo ends up losing his life. That opens up the space for the tier 1 tower in the top lane. And Wolf Team certainly had the right idea. Threaten with Tavo, keep the Ravage pocketed until it's the time to defend. But sadly, the timing just not right. And also, sadly enough, everybody else from Wolf Team
And they're gonna lose more.
went in the opposite direction. Yadomi does drop down the cooldown to dissuade Balrog from chasing too far forward. Will they be able to get out though? Kunkka really wants to find a target for the X. And at the same time, while all this is happening, a wave of creeps also pushes in this mid lane tower. So it feels like the side of Wolf Team right now have lost a lot of ground in a very short span of time in this game at the moment.
Yeah, especially letting the mid tower fall when most of them were near is a shame. But I think it was a good move to try and defend their jungle there. Because if you can avoid the side of Balrogs putting their wards in, you can really constrict the map, and you already have an Ursa sitting in their jungle.
Master has split available, has all his mana burned away, does still have a soul ring and a magic wand, so this shouldn't be a problem. At the same time, Sexy, you're going caught out with a shackle shot. That's going to lead to the death of the Hoodwink, but that buys time for Draken to get off his ultimate as well. They're looking for revenge. Wind Ranger might be the first one that they find it on. Torrented up into the air. Do they have the damage for the kill? Indeed they do, but they might not be able to escape out of this easily. It's Tavo here with the Ravage available. A homing missile also chasing Draken down. Worst case scenario for the Brewmaster.
There's a bear.
And there's the HFN. Ursa easily able to close down this bear. Brewmaster's gone. Tavo will claim the kill. And they did that, Kips, without having to commit Ravage. Yay! Positive wins.
That's absolutely a big win for Wolf Team here. That means that if they want to, they can walk down any tower they want, but they seem a little bit preoccupied with getting the Roche right now. So not going to choose to take down the enemy mid tower just yet. That does mean that the Brewmaster can come straight back in now, even though he doesn't have an ultimate, of course. This could still be a full 5v5.
See how quickly Balrog Esports make their way towards the Roshan pit as Wolf team insistent on taking this early. Ursa always wants the first one. Torrents dropped in. Do see a tornado now coming in onto Dusa with an EMP and a Ravage as well. They have the damage. Burner is losing everything in the blink of an eye. The Medusa's lost. Everybody else needs to run. Draken, you just respawned, my friend, but you still have to go right back to the fountain if they get the extra kill. But here comes Robo Z. Torrent, both crashing down onto a 3 hero. 2 of them fall in an instant. HFN, also not the healthiest target right now, does have range in a moment. Will he use it? Yes, he does. Turning back onto Robo Z. Will they have the damage necessary to bring down the Kunkka? You bet they do. Weaver trying to find some revenge quickly, drop down the Swarm Bug, but there's too much damage here from the side of Wolf team. They got the kill onto Ursa, does require the life of the Weaver, but at the very least getting something back in that situation. And my goodness, that was a wild ride at the end of the day. It is, though, a 4-for-3 trade, and the Wolf team, though they didn't get the Aegis, definitely come away happy with that fight.
Yep, especially because the Ursa didn't really lose any gold there. His Diffusal Blade had exactly just come in, so everything he got there was added and not lost in death. And they're just going to come right in for another go at that Roshan, who is still at half health. They have to be careful of Draken, though. He has a split up again, and I wonder if they're going to want to wait for a Ravage.
I think they probably have to at this stage in time. There's no real option but to do that. What do you make also, speaking of Ravage, of this Tidehunter's item build here, going for the super early Heaven's Halberd in this situation? I mean, I guess considering that the only real right clicker on Balrog is this Medusa, that 5 seconds of time where she's doing practically nothing, considering she's never going to buy a BKB, can definitely be useful, but is this the best possible item that he could have gotten at this stage?
Yeah, I find it really enjoyable. The little bit of evasion is also going to do something for him, because a lot of the other damage that they bring is actually also physical, apart from the Medusa. So, pretty much the optimum item here.
Just lost a very, very quick hoodwink. Draken, though, also can't get a
No
trigger
split.
off on the Brewmaster split. Cold Snap with Invoker and a Spirit Vessel. Yeah, cost point interruption, great mechanic in Dota 2, and now with these 2 heroes in the grave, neither of whom having buyback, they're finally gonna go back into this. The Roshan has regened up a little bit from this point. Torrent will obviously slow them down, but I think this time around they should be able to claim this one without too much contest from Balrog.
RoboZ is thinking about that boat. Vision? Ah, they can't.
Scary times. This is not how you wanted the game to be going.
Scary times.
You know, you wanted to be able to stop the first Roche. It's never fun playing into the Ursa that gets like that first pre-20 Aegis, and then they start playing aggressively into your face after that.
And this Medusa, while she did get a little bit of time to farm up, is not exactly ready. Like, you're going to be looking for that Manta Skadi before at least she's a proper, don't want to say a threat in the team fight, but like a presence in the team fight. And she still has a ways to go for that. There's at least 4 minutes here for this Ursa to make some pressure happen, which curiously enough is exactly the timer over on his Aegis.
I think it gets really scary, especially once Ursa gets this BKB. Then life is very fun. Right now, they've at least been finding some success. Well, not the last time around, but Draken's been helping out to ensure that the Medusa is not just immediately chased down. Sadly, once BKB is up, and especially when it's BKB plus Blink, things change in a hurry. But HFN will be content to farm for a while. This Medusa still doesn't want to really be involved. Like you mentioned, she's not yet ready to fight. But Wolf team might also give her that time, because they've just picked up this head on Midas for 40R. So they are not really in a position and in a situation where they really feel super happy about how everything's going on the map. But with this Midas, they're gonna get 40R closer towards having Aghanim Scepter. Give me Cataclysm, baby. Give me Cataclysm. Give me that damage. Open up the heavens and scream in the sunlight.
Ravage Cataclysm. This is gonna hurt.
Sounds balanced, you know? Feels very fair to me. I literally don't see a problem with one stun and then you lose half your HP a second later before you move. Seems completely okay to me. Dota 2's fine.
You should have just done something about that before it got out of hand.
It's people saying, oh, you don't like Pudge Chen combo at tier 3? Why didn't you just ban Chen, bro? Just ban Pudge. It would have been okay. Everything would be fine.
Just anticipate the enemy's creative thinking.
Wolf team. This is not creative at all. You're just putting the two beefcakes at the very forefront, taking down the tower. This Ursa banging onto the building. Tavo sieging and preparing to let the Ravage rip if needed. They will certainly be able to keep the tower from getting denied at all, and they get the full gold. You know, normally the order of operations is getting the tower first and then you get Roche, but you know, Wolf team doing things a little bit differently today.
And there's absolutely no reason for them to stop right now. They got 2 minutes left on his Aegis. They're going to be taking this bot tower. Maybe fishing for another engagement here as well. Otherwise, they're just going to take it to the racks and see if they can, at the very least, get the base tower on the bottom lane.
Gonna start using that timing that's left on the Aegis, and Balrog doing the right thing by avoiding them completely. Position out in this top lane. Medusa does have the gold for her Skadi now. It's arriving right as the Heaven's Halberd is finished though for Tavo, so it's a little bit problematic and complicated. But the big thing, they really want this tower. They do not want to be playing into the outpost discrepancy, but doesn't seem like Wolf team wants to let them have it. They're already starting to position heroes in the top lane to mount this defense. They're going in. Okay, here's the Ravage. It connects onto two. They've already gotten the Tornado out. No kills just yet onto this Weaver, although he fell very low. Brewmaster does get off the split. The TP attempt from this Medusa. Will it be good enough? Yes, it will. Stone Gaze bought the opportunity to escape. Now, how about the rest of the targets? Sexy Yogoe. Homing missile catching up. Draken also getting caught on right now by the rest of the team. The shackle shot will be on. Nice torrent from Robo Z, but not nice enough. And the Brewmaster does end up taking a tumble. They protect the life of the Medusa, but unfortunately they cannot do the same for this Brewmaster. Sometimes somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb. And they still defend the tier 2 tower. They still got the other tower themselves. Right now, Wolf team definitely on a tear on this map right now, kids.
But getting the win-win scenario every single time. Also did not have to use the BKB for the Ursa there. So he's still got that fresh and ready for the next time they're going to fight. The only thing is that they didn't fully get to utilize this Aegis, but I'm pretty sure that he was waiting for Aegis number 2 and his precious shard before actually properly wanting to do anything.
I also want to do something here in the mid lane.
And I'm saying that as a
beautiful shackle shot out onto this Hoodwink. Not enough damage to kill just yet though. Although the Spirit Vessel will help out. Drag back with the boat will kill the Wind Ranger. Hoodwink finally does take a tumble as Tavo broken for a moment, getting chased down with the damage, and here comes HFN getting into the fight. Still hasn't used BKB, doesn't even need it. They just tear the pirate apart. And then nothing you can do about that one. Tide Hunter laughing in the Kunka's face. The rivalry stays strong. And there's 2 heroes gone. At Balrog, they really thought that maybe we could do something here. We have a bit of a chase going for ourselves, but they sort of underestimated the strength of the Wolf team.
I think they didn't quite respect the idea that HFN could jump out of the trees at any moment. Unfortunately, but this is the power of the Ursa pick. It was always going to do super well in this game, and HFN is leveraging it for all that it's worth.
Oh, without a doubt. He's looking super solid on the hero right now. He's in a position where he's still in that fight, did not pop the BKB, so we're still at 9 seconds for the bear. And the world is his oyster. He can really decide what direction to go with the build. I'm thinking Blink Dagger seems like the likeliest option. Or do you think he's gonna rather opt for Basher instead, given that he seems to have no problem getting in and out of the fight without Blink Dagger anyway?
Yeah, I like the idea of the Basher much more, because pretty much you're only going to fight around the Ravage right now. And you're going to be working against the Brewlings, which you might want to tear up as well, plus the extra damage for Sedusa. It's all good. So that would be my guess. Wait, is that the full Aghanims for...
Yeah, baby.
Who just bought an Aghanims right now?
Our boy Draken. So Brewmaster is ready with the annoying plays. Oh, also see what's gonna annoy Robo Z. Gets caught and pins it. Does have the access to the BKB. Will be forced to use it, dropping a boat to escape as well. In the meantime, Draken was able to take down this Wind Ranger. And with BKB used by Robo Z, where do they go with the rest of this fight? Draken getting involved, wanting to chase down Yadomi as HFN looking towards the Juicer. They force out the Stone Gaze. Gonna get stoned up on the Ursa, but with the Ravage, they still stalled her up. And there's gonna be a Tornado as well. They really want to chase her down, but Robo Z with the magnificent Torrent. It's still not enough just yet though. Can they get the cancel on the TP? No, they can't. Definitely queue up the Basher now, my friend. As they had lost 2, Yadomi died at the very far edge of the fight. And Balrog Esports somehow, some way get out of the situation. That was remarkably close, but they just didn't have enough to fully tear through her and make sure they cancel the TP at the same time.
Yep, and in the meantime, especially the Weaver was constantly on the backlines of Wolf Team, making sure that those supports couldn't do anything in that fight.
Kept out completely. There were swarm bugs on both this Wind Ranger as well as the Gyro pretty much the entire time. And unfortunately, under those conditions, under those circumstances, very difficult to be involved. Middle lane though, might have another fight. Beautiful bushwhack on the 2. They drag back to this bear. Shackle shot though to connect onto Draken. Do they have the damage for this kill? Yadomi's on him, but they provide protection by throwing in the boat. It crashes onto the Gyrocopter, enabling Medusa to get that kill. She's now chasing onto the Ursa. Tornado from 40 yards doesn't connect onto anybody, and Wolf Team, okay, another fight that doesn't necessarily go in their direction in their favor. And it doesn't look like Balrog is done with this chase. They really want something more in the situation. This game now, though, really does feel like Balrog Esports, provided they can keep this tempo up and keep fighting like this and keep drawing HFN to these engagements. Burn has been quietly accruing quite a lot of net worth in this situation as a scouting cataclysm used to kill a Weaver. Okay, probably a bit of overcommittal for that hero, but whatever.
Okay.
Poor bug, imagine.
Sometimes you step on people, sometimes you get either one getting stepped on. That's life.
Well, in this case, it's death as well. You gotta go respawn.
Truth.
Medusa has Butterfly, Skadi, Manta style. Ursa is going for an S and Y build here. This is a bit peculiar. Both of us were expecting either Basher or the Blink Dagger. I don't feel maybe like status resistance was that big of an issue for him at this point, given that he already had the BKB. What do you make of this item build that he's gone for here?
I think he underestimated the speed at which the Medusa was farming just a little bit. She's definitely overtaken him by now, and that Butterfly coming out, he would really rather have the MKB or most of the MKB right now rather than waiting for it more, but they're going to have to really rely on this next Aegis now.
Ursa Gaming, where you feel really bad every time you miss out on the big man. It's always nice, it's very fun. So they desperately need to make sure that they can secure this next Aegis. Like you mentioned, the all-important Aghanim Shard going to be available for the Ursa at that point. And Balrogs also aware of this. They're making sure to position around this Aegis. They don't have that much vision here, but between Sexy Yagoe and this Weaver, they should be able to very easily ensure that they can see everything before the fight starts. It would be nice if they can get a first pick off, but I think like the next 5-10 minutes are going to be played mostly around this area here. So we'll see how it goes as both teams are setting up, preparing themselves for the next encroachment somewhere on the map. I think right now one of the big things as well that we really need to see coming in from the Balrog Esports lineup is figuring out how to leverage the power of this Medusa in better ways. She's so far been largely uninvolved in any of the big plays that they've tried to make across the map. So now that she's this strong, you kind of have to use all this gold that's sitting on this hero. Otherwise, just kind of wasted, you know? Wolf Team have been doing this for a long time with this Ursa Bear, allowing him to jump into the fray, get these kills, bloody his claws, pick up farm from heroes as well as from the camps and from the lane itself. And there's a reason why he's 8, 2, and 7, and also number 2 on the net worth right now for HFN. But exactly like how you mentioned, Despite underestimating the farm speed of this Medusa, he's recognizing the predicament that he's in, immediately queuing up this MKB, preparing himself for a way to fight head-to-head against this Medusa. And she's very content to just slither away. She's like, oh, I've drawn back some supports, I've drawn back some core heroes, awesome. Now we can run ourselves back in the opposite direction, drop some swarm bugs on the big man. Balrog Esports do not want to allow the Wolf team to claim this opening Aegis. See if they can make this happen. They can keep this going. Tornado coming in from 40R. Doesn't scout anybody out. They've already repositioned from the area, but now there's going to be a cooldown from Yadomi, but he's also dragged back into the Medusa's face. More than enough damage to get the kill, and the bushwhack out onto HFN, but the Blink Ravage with Cataclysm following up. Two heroes melt in the blink of an eye. Gale Force pushing back the Medusa. She's trying to escape with the Stone Gaze. She's going to be held up for such a long time. The BKB from RoboZ also required here. Draken brought back instantly, comes back in with the Aghanim Scepter ultimate, with the beautiful tidal wave from RoboZ allowing them to kill Windranger. HFN has to pop BKB and flee. 40R though doesn't have such luck. No magic immunity for you, so that's just going to be a straight up death for the Invoker. Will they be able to get Tabo out of trouble? It does blink out magnificently. King R trying to get away right now with this Windranger. Draken goes in for the secondary split. Will they chase down Tabo? They're dragging him back with the X marks the spot. Kraken Shell takes off a lot of damage. Hood of Defiance is making them really work for this one, but eventually their work will be successful and they find the kill. Windranger did her best, blinked in with the Blink Shackle Shot just to open up a little bit of space, but unfortunately just not enough. And now Balrog with a decisive teamfight victory. Suddenly, they want to try go for Roche, but at the same time, it's a risky proposition because, oh, HFN, will they get the kill? No. Too tanky, no stuns. All right, this time surely they have to be able to get this Roche. There's no Ravage, there's no Cataclysm, there's no BKB on the Ursa. It's theirs for the taking. The only question is how easy will Wolf Team make it for them to go in for the big man? Gale Force from Wolf Team, pushing back onto these heroes around the pit, not allowing them to get in. Draken trying to run forward, and we have a very big sharpshooter hit onto Yadomi. Not dead just yet though, as HFN able to crash down onto the Hoodwink, but the Aegis will be taken by the Medusa. Draken tanks one for the team. Very happy to give up his life in that situation. The same is going to be true of this Weaver as well. Unfortunately, no way to survive that situation. But ultimately, Balrog Esports will take it. Now we have Aegis of the Immortal on the Medusa. They gave her the Aghanim shot as well, so she has the Cold-Blooded perk. She is ready to go, feeling a lot better about how this game is looking. And she also dished out so much damage in these last fights that she definitely feels like she's prepared to take on HFN for the rest of this game in the shape that she's in.
The butterfly is going to make a big difference, but that one is still in the works, and it's going to be hard to deal with her 2 times when they also have to deal with Draken 2 times most of these fights.
Yeah. Draken's done such a good job, and I've always loved this build since it's come out, like the Aghanims into Aeon Dust build for Brewmasters. Like, he's even going directly into Refresher. Do you even need Blink Dagger nowadays when you go for this build on this hero?
No, especially not because by the
Just the squirrel
by the time that you happens in the woods every day.
They might also eat a snake though with this bear. They're chasing down here. Buyback in from the Hoodwink. They're forced to flee. Burner gets some mana burnt away, but not gonna be good enough. Tabo dragged back by the X marks. I think they definitely will be able to find this Tidehunter kill. Will take a while, but they've demonstrated before that they have the ability. Medusa has time to pick up an MKB during this chase, so that'll certainly help. Burner now on a killing spree. This Medusa just getting so strong. And they're not done yet. Draken trying to chase out HFN. Thankfully, the 4 staffs in tow on his team from the supports will ensure that the bear survives. But look how much of the map they've given up suddenly, just after these couple of plays.
It's painful. They're waiting for the Invoker Refresher now, as well as that MKB over on the Ursa, and even then they'll have to wait out this Aegis for sure. The question is if they can do that without losing base. They don't have the greatest of stalling spells here.
Definitely not. I mean, Can they even hold out against super groups if they do end up losing like multiple layers of racks? Isn't it like super important for them to just prevent any racks from falling, given that their lineup isn't the best at that kind of counter push?
That would be the ideal situation, yeah. The only tool that they have for it really is the Invoker, who is decent if you're dealing with like a single lane. HFN just went in, he's getting pushed back.
Okay, they want to try and force the kill onto this Medusa. Not going to be able to do so. Didn't have to use BKB just yet though. So they'll probably just be happy that Burner has had half of his HP burned away. Sure, it might be the first life, but they definitely don't want to be too cavalier with the positioning of the Snake Lady. Draken, first ultimate is over. Actually, both ultimates are down. One of the few times in this game we're going to see this situation happen. And therefore, they have to back. That answers your question here, Kips. Wolf team managed to hold the high ground and not give up any tier 3 towers inside their base.
And they're even smoking out now. I guess they're counting on there not being any ultimates over on Draken right now.
Oh god. Burner is very much ahead of his team right now. Sitting with the Sages, so a lot more confident with the 90 seconds of a double life. HFN though finds a target that doesn't have a double life. RoboZ forced to pop BKB. And there's going to be Blink Ravage coming in from Tabo, but the Aeon Disc keeps Draken alive. They don't have the ultimate just yet, but thus far they still don't need it. The Medusa pop Stone Gates on the other side of the fight while they're trying to chase down RoboZ, HFN and 40R on this side of the fight. And they won't be able to get the kill thanks to the time lapse. But RoboZ finally will get low. No, he's still alive. Medusa shows up with the right clicks in every direction. They've taken out 40R. They do now lose RoboZ, but at what cost? What do they get away with here, Wolf team? Okay, they TP out on their heroes. Nobody else is getting caught just yet. Tabo, though, might not be so lucky. Often has been the sacrificial lamb here for his team. They don't have a way to catch him though. Beautiful blink away from the Tidehunter. Alright, in the grand scheme of things, going 1-1 in a trade in this situation, suppose not the worst thing in the world for the side of the Wolf team, especially considering how hard that fight seemed for them at the beginning.
That was pretty hype. With the way that they ended up splitting the fight, the Invoker, of course, got chased down because his front line was not in place for him. But at the same time, the Medusa, she's still slow. She was stuck all the way on the other side of the river while HFN was chasing her backline. So, neat division there. This is rough.
This is... Whew. How do you hold? We've seen before that one of the big tools of them holding has been that Tornado EMP, like you mentioned. But without the Invoker being alive and without Invoker having buyback, what options do they have in this situation? Tabo will just lumber forward, doesn't have access to Ravage, but will dissuade them from taking the full melee rack. That feels honestly like a pretty big win. The fact that they don't have Invoker, they're playing 4v5 and they only lose at tier 3. I think I'll take it if I'm them right now.
Yep, for sure. And that MKB is now finished over onto HFN, and he'd love to bash that Medusa over the head with it.
Yep. MKB into Blink. What's Medusa building for herself? Or where does she go now? Looks like she's gonna go for this Daedalus. Do you feel she needs that extra damage at this point in the game? I suppose you've like already stocked up on the defensive items, right? BKB, Butterfly, Skadi Manta. Might be a bit of overkill to keep going in that direction.
You're just rounding out the slots here nicely. Going to get your level 25 talent pretty soon with the modifiers on the split shot. And after that, you're a big Skadi crit engine, and even his Ursa Bear is going to have a lot of trouble. I think HFN needs to kill her at least twice before she hits 25 now in order to take this game.
Certainly a tall order to be able to get that to happen. And the smoke that they went for on the side of Wolf Team doesn't end up yielding dividends. Well, now we are getting closer and closer towards the next timing of this Roshan. Do you think that they wait for it on the side of Wolf Team and then try to posture around the third Rosh, maybe get themselves that Aghanim Scepter? Or do you think they have to try and play aggressively now, because fighting around the pit when Draken is always going to be on form, when you already have the shard for RoboZ with the tidal wave, is it just too difficult at this point for them?
I think they're going to look for an opportunity to, I don't want to say sniper Rosh, but get it most of the way done while Balrogs is otherwise occupied. Alternatively, of course, you can go straight for Burner and test out how much damage you have right now.
Okay,
this is quite significant.
That this bear is helping to win, but oh, Weaver, beautiful catch there with the Aghanim Scepter to to put the Medusa back on full HP, and now HFN definitely doesn't have that same kind of luxury on his team. Will end up losing his life without buyback. Tabo in danger as well, tossed up into the air with the torrent. The break will come out from the sharpshooter hit as well. That enables them to get the quick kill. Ty does have buyback, does still have Ravage. Only buyback so far has come from Yadomi on this gyrocopter. But it's just a gyro without having cooldown anymore. I'm not sure how much he can really do here. Burner now staking up this high ground. Buyback from Tabo. Has to get back involved again. The right clicks are coming. Shackle shot. Just to buy time, to waste time. And they use Gale Force back in with the Ravage. Cataclysm, Sunstrike. Barely enough damage though. It's kind of ticking the Medusa right now. And there she goes again, getting time-lapse back by this Weaver. This is why this combination is so strong. Draken now activates the ultimate. They want to chase down Tabo, who's been dragged back by the X marks the spot. Bushwhack gets Kraken Shell through, but you can't Kraken Shell off. Right-click damage, my friend. Will end up taking a tumble.
No.
The Tidebringer cleave is going to be good enough. And now, without two of their beefiest heroes, and Yadomi about to die back here, it feels like this game is really in a death knell for the side of the Wolf team. They're going for his 40R as well. Dragged back into the boat. BKB activated by Robo-Z. The Gale Force not going to really do anything because they have more than enough damage. With Medusa outside of the Gale Force area, she gets the kill. They brought down 4. And Kips, is there any hope right now for the Wolf team to come back into this game?
There isn't. They have been so focused on countering the Medusa the normal way, which is bursting her down with the Ursa, that now they weren't ready for the tempo shift when the Aghanims over on the Weaver came out. They're gonna try again, straight for her face. It's not gonna work.
Yep. She has BKB. She didn't have to use it the second go, but now she does again. Stone Gaze out onto the Dusa. Dusa ends up falling, or Ursa ends up falling rather. And they're just cleaning up everybody else who comes forward. You want the smoke? I guess you can have it. Burner. With all the right-click damage in the world, they force out the GG. Balrog Esports. They claim game 1. It is almost poetic. This is actually wonderful, right? Not only have they claimed the game 1 W here, but this is exactly what happened in their in the first match that they had. Balrogs took game 1. So now, what Destiny should tell us is that we should have a very easy comeback right now for the side of the Wolf team, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely results gotten in the past are always predicted for the future. This is how it goes. Now, I really wanna praise Balrogs here for just keeping their cool. They know that this is a great Ursa game, and they're just like, fine, we're gonna deal with it. We're gonna keep on just tossing Draken at them. He died 8 times in that mid game. This was not a particularly fun standout game for him in that way. But he did get done what needed to be done, which is get Burna farm, and then after that, make sure that the engine with the Weaver gets online. And once that happened, our way was just not ready to shift tempo.
No, not at all. Wolf team just were not able to catch up. And I'm thinking about when we look at these deaths that happened from the Brewmaster, we could probably track on the net worth graph of this Medusa when some of these deaths happen. When we see her getting further and further ahead, it's like, oh, Draken was probably busy giving up his life for the cause. Fantastic job being done here by Balrog Esports. The very early pickup, well, early comparatively for what it could have been, but then getting this Weaver Aghanim Scepter at the time that they got it and taking the first fight with it before Wolf team were aware that it was on the field of play suddenly changed everything. That was a fight that HFN felt a lot more confident in being able to win. And the sad thing is, that fight, he almost won it. If not for Weaver having axe, if he'd gone 2 minutes before that, he would have killed the Medusa, and then this game is suddenly completely different, Kips.
Yeah, it would have been, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, they're just going to have to do it next time.
Well, on the side of Wolf team, they've done it before, being able to drag back a victory against the Balrog side, who they dropped game 1 to. So the only question is, will they be able to do so again? Because now they have to do the difficult parts. Getting ahead, always much easier than having to mount a comeback. And now that comeback has to come from them. So Balrogs, they just need the one more win. They just need the last game. And suddenly, that will put them in the critical position of being able to 2-0 the side of Wolf team, claim those all-important points, and make your way up the ladder and potentially into the upper division of the South American DPC. So now we are going to take a short break. It's Wolf team versus Balrog Esports. It's 1-0 in favor of Balrogs. Let's see if Wolf Team will do something interesting, take us to a third game, or will we have dominance from the Balrogs? Stay tuned with myself, Snare, and the Empress of Dota 2, Kips. We will be right back with some more incredible Dota 2 action.
Let's hit it.
Ladies, gentlemen, and our NB comrades, welcome back here to the South American DPC as we continue here in the lower division in this best of 3 matchup between Balrogs Esports and the side of Wolf Team. They'll be tagged up as our way for now, but they've just been very recently signed for Wolf Team, and the way it's looking right now, Balrogs have the 1-game lead, and the advantage they gained, it looked very clean. They understood how to get themselves into a winning position, and once they found themselves in a winning position, they did not give it up. They did not end up feeding. So now they need to be able to stay as clean into the second game. And the draft already seems promising for themselves, right? 2 heroes that they've just won with already back for them here, Kips. And do you think that, given how similar this draft is to game 1, will Wolf Team be able to bring this one back, or are we destined for just a straight up 2-0?
Oh, they made a pretty big adjustment here, right? They immediately answered the Weaver pick, where previously they kind of ignored it in favor of making their own plans. Here it's like, Weaver, okay, we're gonna get an Nyx Assassin, we're going to use that Spike Carapace to catch the bug and squish it. We're going to have somebody who can go to the backlines and find this guy if he's hanging out there trying to save his cores. And that's going to be, as we saw in the previous game, so important for if Balrogs tries the same kind of all eggs in one basket strategy again. You got to be able to answer that, and Wolf Team is not going to make that mistake twice.
Absolutely. Definitely not. So we'll see how they approach the rest of the draft right now. Second phase bans. We saw LC banned last game as well, so it does seem like both teams are definitely going to prioritize taking out a lot of these off-lane jumpers. Still Tidehunters still in the pool, but given what happened in the previous game, Wolf Team probably less likely to pick it up, so Balrogs might decide to go for that themselves. I'm also wondering though, for the side of Wolf Team, when we did eventually get to the Ravage being played in beautifully with this Invoker's Cataclysm, it was a ton of damage, so you would definitely like for them to have an option to be able to do that again. But do you think it's worth picking Tide once more, or are we looking for a different route? Obviously, no Void, no Mars. What is left even that could actually help them get that big combo potential for themselves?
Of the offlaners, there's definitely only a thin layer left here. Normally you'd go, actually LC is gone as well. None of that lockdown. And the other setups are way more in the support department. You could be thinking about a Treant Protector, you could be thinking about a Winter Wyvern. Both of those are great setups for a Cataclysm, and possible to come out here, definitely. I think that at the very least, King RD used to play a lot of Treant. I seem to have this memory. Maybe it's a false one, but he seems like the guy.
Ogre, well, this is... You know what I always... there's an argument that I have with a local caster here in South Africa about this hero. He says Ogre Magi is the most boring hero in the game. And I say to him that Ogre Magi, to me, is the most exciting hero in the game. Because every time a team picks Ogre, it tells me they really want to win. And they're willing to do anything possible to win. Even if it means somebody has to play not the most exciting hero in the team, but definitely a hero that can enable the rest of your lineup to be able to eke out that victory.
Well, you're talking about Ogre not being exciting. This is the make your own adventure guy. So, anyway, the way I see him in this draft is that they've got the Alacrity from the Invoker right now. Now they are also going to get Bloodlust from this Ogre Magi. Yeah. Our way is set up to challenge the carry matchup much more this time around. And Balrogs goes back for the Brewmaster. It worked out for them perfectly the previous game, so why not again?
Gosh, they've got 3 out of the 5 heroes from game number 1. Please, come on. Just give us the 4th. Come on. 6A, his Hoodwink is still in the pool. It's not banned out. Come on. Just do it for us. Just go again with the same exact draft. I mean, if you don't know what the opposing carry matchup is going to be, and you don't have last pick, and you're afraid of heroes being banned out in the final phase that are very strong, don't you just pick Medusa again? It's not Medusa. It's not Medusa.
I picked the Combo Breaker. In clearly anticipating a bunch more Sunstrike and later on Cataclysm events then. Because right now, most of what's here on our way is not actually the kind of stuff that you pick Silencer into. The Nyx Assassin is definitely going to snack on him.
Yep. I'm looking at this, like, Invoker we already saw starting to build up those Sunstrike plays. And yeah, the combo break is there, but before the combo break, you are the combo. You know, Nyx finds you with Vendetta, hits you, impales you, Sunstrike, hey, there we go, you're just dead every single time. Very difficult to counterplay against that. But on the bright side, like you mentioned, no matter where they go with the rest of the draft for the side of the Wolf team, there's always going to be worry about global silence. There's so much like annoyance, right? You have to fight through global, you have to fight through brew split, you have to fight through the Tide Hunter, not the Tide Hunter, the Kunkka with the Ghost Ship. You have to fight eventually through Ag's Weaver. Jeez, whatever carry hero comes out here in the safe lane for Burner, how on earth are you going to kill them reliably?
Low cooldowns, high activity, early BKB builder. Oh, there's an early BKB builder. And that's certainly going to keep either the Brewmaster or the Silencer or hell, the Weaver in check. There's a lot of good tomb targets this game.
Yeah. Does feel like the kind of game where we hope that Tabo gets Refresher, right? So you can get the double doom as quickly as possible.
That could be a game winner for sure. Especially if you take out the Brew and the Silencer, suddenly Balrogs has no team fight left. And these heroes don't contribute much in the way of right-clicking.
That's certainly true. Not a magic. It feels like both teams still need to get their big right-clicker going for themselves to really round out this draft. Does seem quite scarier though for Wolf team to get it. Like you mentioned, the additional buff-ups from Alacrity and the Bloodlust. Balrogs don't have the same availability of keeping the carry strong, but they can definitely keep the carry alive with the rest of their draft. Very interesting that you have these contrasting philosophies on how to treat your last pick carry hero coming in from both of these teams. So speaking of these carries, what's left? Because very many of them have been banned. Luna's been taken out, Medusa's now gone, no Jug, no Void, no TB, no PL, no Razor. My gosh, what do you play in the safe lane now?
Gonna be a rough one. One of the popular heroes that's not been taken out yet is the PA. Seen a lot of her in the Americas overall in the past couple of weeks. Struggle to fit her really into either of these drafts though.
Yeah, I always feel like you want like either a lot of buff ups or they should just bring all the targets to you with that hero. I suppose like it's a little bit easier for Wolf team to pick it, given that they do have some kind of steroids, but well, no, it's not happening. It gets banned. So now what's left? There's Drow, there's Spectre. That's like Sven. No, that's not gonna happen.
Sven? Interesting. I was thinking about the Drow for Balrogs here. They have an absolutely fantastic front line, and right now, really the only threat to her it would be a Nyx assassin. She's going to lane really nicely versus the Doom as well, but no, they go for that Sven that you mentioned.
Alright, so Sven in the situation, very beefy, very difficult to kill, and it's gonna be SF. Oh, is this safe lane SF or is safe lane Invoker? Safe lane SF, okay.
Safe lane SF.
What do you make of this, Kips? The magic dealing hero that rounds out the draft as opposed to like one of the more traditional hard-hitting safe laners that were left in the pool?
I mean, the SF certainly is a hard hitter as well, especially if you get to like the Shadow Blade, to the Shard. It's also very common here versus Silencer to pick up a Manta style building carry, and SF is definitely the guy. I just worry about the fact that if a Sven ever gets on top of an SF, the SF kind of disappears.
Yeah. You're not the hero that you think about when you think about like a long-lasting person in the middle of the fight, right? Who can hold his ground for a sustained period of time, wants to get in, burst people, and get out. So Sven never gets on top of him, which is possible. In this game, they have a lot of ways to try and get to a hero and hold him in position. And at that point, Burner can do Burner things. We already saw in the previous game what can happen with the one-to-one matchup between the two players. And this game, they still do have this backup of the Weaver for the Sven. So you effectively have the double life in effect for this hero.
This HFN SF is going to have a lot of steroids on him. He is going to be hitting extremely fast. He's going to be hitting like a truck. He can definitely chew through a bunch of these Brewmaster bears if he would so like.
Speaking of Brewmaster, Draken has just DC'd. Do you know what's a game of Dota 2 without a young pause at some point? We have to expect these. These have to happen. And now that this is taking place, I suppose and I wonder, it's going to all be about, like you mentioned, them getting as many of these buff ups onto HFN as possible, him being the one to carry them from that perspective, and Balrogs doing their utmost to close in on HFN. Does feel like they have some of the tools, but fairly execution heavy game. Also, for the side of Wolf Team, how many BKBs are we expecting in this situation, given all the spells they're playing against on the side of Balrogs?
3. 3 is good. And I think 4 staffs over on the supports as well, because you're going to need to be able to disengage without using any of your spells here. Maybe the Nyx could think about the Yule Scepter instead. But yeah, this silencer is going to force a lot of defensive itemization, which is a problem because every defensive item that you get is not damage, and Balrogs are pretty darn tanky once again. And we saw that in the previous game where they had an Ursa mauling people. He still needed a lot of time to get through all of the HP on the Kunga, all of the HP over on the Brewmaster, and now there's a Sven as well, and there's no Ursa over on the side of Wolf Team. This is an SF.
Yeah.
If he can't stay on top of the curve, his team is in trouble.
I mean, don't we also have that situation with SF where a lot of the damage output that you find in fights, thanks to the presence of the Dark Lord passive, gets counteracted by then just popping E on this Sven. Just like, oh, here we go, burner. Makes it a lot more difficult for you to dish out that damage. So it feels like it's going to be a definite uphill climb here. As the unpause is done, HFN, game's on you, buddy. What are you going to make happen? You also need to make sure that you don't die in this upcoming smoke gank, so position yourself well. You should be okay. He almost died last time around, and very, very sadly had a bit of a rougher start to the game than it would have been otherwise. Let's see if he dies here, but oh my gosh, I think they might catch him. Zissa's already in position.
It's a rough start. They see him.
Alright, they're going for it. Stormhammer. Connect onto HFN. Arcane Curse will be out as well, but they don't really have the appetite to dive beyond the tier 1 tower. Unfortunately, they were not able to...
he did.
Oh, I mean, that's why he took a bit of damage. He's like, hey guys, maybe not. Maybe we don't do this.
Let me touch him. Let me scare him.
Just saying hello. You know, we're just greeting each other, bro. Oh. It's a bit unfortunate though, because now yet again HFN is going to be starting off the game having to just position himself here on bottom, right, and not really be able to move out anywhere else. All he can do is eat a tangle or two and then just block the wave, but he has to accept that these early bounty runes, he will not be part of their contestation.
What are you doing?
The silence deepens.
Same as before.
Oh, okay.
King RD gets him.
Nice. That's going to give them 3. That's a great start to the game here for the Wolf team. Tabo's on the other side, grabbing this bounty, so... Okay, decent start now. Despite having to give up some resources on HFN, they still get a good way for some early gold for themselves. So, now we are underway. We've already seen this mid lane matchup in the previous game. It's a retread of this, so not really anticipating things to be that different here for RoboZ and 4DR. But the lane where I think it's most intriguing is now Draken is not playing melee versus melee. He's playing against your Shadow Fiend. What's this lane going to look like here for this Brewmaster?
The SF is going to be focusing mostly on the last hits as far as he needs to. But you can see already that some of the range advantage is coming out here. And the question now is if Balrogs can keep the pressure up as the souls start to mount over onto HFN. Of course, he took the presence of the Dark Lord first. He's really hoping to put as much pressure on Draken right now as possible.
I suppose.
But this lane, there could be 2 kills either direction on level 3.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. This is definitely the lane we're probably going to be expecting the most action in. And this is also something I want to ask as well, right? Because SF often gets played in the mid lane for the most part, I think a lot of people don't understand what... Oh, top lane. Have an engagement here. We almost lost Burn, the King RD. Getting a lot of damage out of Tabo, and the two of them bringing the Sven very, very low. He does get kept alive. He has to be careful about his positioning though. Can't really approach the wave anymore. Gotta wait until he eats the second tangle first. And that's gonna buy a lot of time here for the side of Wolf team. On the bright side though, for Burner, Sexy Yogoi did make sure to drag in some creeps towards him as well, so he didn't lose out entirely from being close to the tier 1 tower in that situation.
I just call him sexy, by the way. Clearly, that's what he wants to be called. And he's made some sexy plays in the past, so he's earned it.
Is that how it goes? You can get a very weird nickname, but you have to earn it first, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah. That's the deal with Big Daddy, right? No-Tail just shifted to that and didn't really feel like he earned it. They had to really grow into it for a couple more years.
Now it's fine. Now it's acceptable.
Now it's fine.
Yeah. You win
But
TI
you gotta win TI twice.
Then
You're a daddy.
I'm just thinking that maybe that's the reason why Southeast Asian Miracle dropped off the face of the planet. He didn't win TI, couldn't keep the Miracle tag. Gotta do big things to stay that large. Oh, feels bad. The thing I was gonna ask you about though, I was gonna ask you about this Shadow Fiend name, right? Because I think that a lot of players and a lot of viewers don't necessarily understand what changes when we have a situation with SF being safe lane versus SF being middle in those kind of scenarios.
Well, the big change in it is in EXP, and SF is very reliant on EXP. Oh.
Sexy.
There he
Somehow
goes.
finds the kill on the other side of the map onto this Nyx Assassin. That is quite well done to be able to pick that one up. And it's a solo kill as well for the Silencer, starting to stack up those instacks already and leaving the lane at the very least a lot easier for Burner, at least for now. Unfortunately, very low level on the Nyx Assassin, so going to be back very, very soon to put more pressure back onto the Sven.
He's okay with that. Like, the Doom is winning the lane matchup right here, and he's getting plenty of experience out of it. Sven has a couple of denies over him, though. You know, he's really struggling here, waiting for his support to come TP back in with that much needed regen.
Shame. It's always really funny when you see these players.
Anyway, we were talking about this SF, but he's getting gone on again on bottom, and this is one of the reasons why I don't like safe lane SF. If you're with 2 people, you can stick on top of him. Look at this, level 3. Double kill.
You literally mentioned the exact level when this was going to happen, and indeed it pans out as you said. Double kill for Draken in the safe lane. You were talking about, can they keep the pressure up onto him even as he starts to put the more points into the Necromaster, and indeed they can. Very easy for them to do at this level. 2 heroes down. The way this is, right, he's not getting as much experience as he would at middle, and the terrain is so different that it's much more difficult to escape these kind of situations where they're jumping on you, especially if they're not afraid of tanking the tier 1 tower thanks to the swarm bugs that are doing that for them.
Yep. Now this SF, at the very least he's got his souls back immediately, but he's not going to be happy about this. More presence of the Dark Lord. They're going to try and see if they can get this kill back with a good stun, but the damage has already been done, and his Weaver has been freed up to make some stacks over on the side. Yeah. Draken's happy. He's got the Soul Ring. He's flying in just a little bit more regen and protection right now, off with that kill gold. He feels great.
I mean, we already have a situation top lane though. Oh, Tavo might die here. Sexy will end up losing his life first. Burner, 5 seconds until Stormhammer, but Tavo has access to the Scorched Earth as well, so we'll be able to close in onto the tower. Now, potentially, it's a risky place to be for Burner. Throws back the Stormhammer, but not enough damage to get this kill. King RD, though, gets out the Impale. Burner forced away. And Sexy died in the top lane already. Yet again, the Silencer not really able to render the necessary assistance to the Sven, and he's having a really rough time here. He's getting some CS, but always feels like he's just one hit away from getting killed at any given time.
Really juggling that damage. And Tavo with that ice armor buff as well is like, yeah, I'm in a melee matchup. What are you gonna do against me?
I am strong. I am doomed. As we see a kill happen bottom, they finally get something going for themselves on the side of Wolf Team. Being able to bring down this Weaver. Some bonus gold for HFN. They're going to put some pressure onto the tower potentially with the Sea Dragon. And they've also found a stun onto Sexy. On the other side of the map, the Silencer. Will he get out of this? No, he will not. Scorched Earth will allow Tavo to run him down, right-click him, and get the kill. And things are starting to really pick up right now for the side of Wolf Team. It's all falling in place. It's all falling together. They bring Kunkka down bottom, though. They want to kill HFN. And as I say that, things were starting to get better for them. RoboZ says, nope. I am going to put more pressure back onto HFN. You, sir, will not be allowed to have a nice and free game on this SF.
Yep, and now we're really too far forward for the Invoker to come do anything about it. He just got his urn. He would have actually loved to get involved and maybe get a kill there, but the SF was just too far up and too low. And that puts him at a distinct advantage right now. Invoker really needs one of those open goals to score in the first time to get those charges on the urn. And I guess they're going to try to force it top, because if the silencer has returned there, that's definitely an open goal, but he is absent, luckily.
Fortunately, for the first time, Sexy's not around to just get instantly killed. Burner is available, but certainly not an easy kill, even not having access to the Warcry. Nonetheless, they're going to make the attempt. Impale, EMP. Do they have this damage? Surely not. Burner is absolutely fine. Tornado will still be there. They're hoping for Tavo to catch up here. Burner, still all alone. His allies not even bothering to stream in to help him. They're like, dude, you're fine. You're okay. You just go home. And he's like, okay, fine. It's all good.
Walk it off, man. And this is his rotation into the jungle. He's got everything out of the lane that he really wanted. He's got the Morbid Mask, he's got the power treads. He's ready to start taking some jungle stacks. As Splat goes the bug.
Bye. Bye.
And then on bot lane,
Well,
HFN.
Dive. Okay, HFN having to fight against the first usage of the Bruce Split in this game. Draken is all alone though, so he doesn't have the capability of actually getting this kill. The Bruce Split will end. He tossed out the Cyclone first onto SF before it ended, so he couldn't get chased down by HFN. 40R is making this movement, making this rotation, but as he comes bottom, regrettably, he sees so many enemy heroes that he's like, well, I actually can't get this kill. And instead, Robo-Z might be able to help his team get a turnaround here. And Draken, they bring down this Ogre. With Robo-Z also being present, they might decide to put a little bit more pressure onto the tower itself. And this is so frustrating for 40R. Misses the first rotation. When he finally comes in for the second move, the enemy mid does the same thing, so he can't make anything happen in that situation.
Yep, and that urn remains empty, and now the SF switches over to mid. He's only level 6, he really needs a bunch more. And the Ogre needs to stick with him, because this SF going for the full safe lane build does not have any raises. He is just a pure right clicker, so in order to get farming speed, this Ogre needs to be near him, much like a Magnus would need to be to an AM.
The steroid is being given towards the SF as down bottom. The rest of Balrogs Esports are setting up now, leaving the Sven in the jungle and trying to set up for a push onto the tower. Draken doesn't have the split just yet for a bit of time. It looks like they're actually losing their appetite to mount those push. They know that 40R is in the area. Tornado is really cumbersome to deal with right now. Sexy just throws in the Arcane Curse and a last word onto 40R. Okay, this will draw a TP in from Tavo. First Doom of the game at the ready to be committed. They won't actually do it though. Sexy just gets brought down. Well, somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb. This time around, Sexy happy to do it. But that's a big rotation. 2 core heroes positioned down in this bottom lane. All they get is a silencer support kill. They're not really applying pressure elsewhere on the map. I mean, sure, HFN is still farming middle, but feels like a lot of commitment at this point from the Wolf team.
It's about the best move they could have made, though. The Urn of Shadows now finally has charges, and Tabo already took the tower top, so he wasn't necessarily doing anything there anymore. And he is... oh, he's going immediate Midas, alright.
Okay. So, are we gonna have double Midas here if Invoker goes for the same thing? We'll see. As they're smoked up, trying to get the wrap around. They come into Sexy first and foremost. The Silencer might die again. They really want Draken, but oh, they don't get off any kills onto him or any stuns before he gets off his ultimate, and instead he wants to turn his attention towards 40R. They bring down the Invoker. The global silence brought them so much time, and now here comes the boat because Robo-Z is also involved. Crashes onto Tabo. They should have that kill. No, they don't. Draken, the Bruce Split ends at the very last second, but they still in with the Weaver, able to get out the right clicks. King RD get off a beautiful impale, but it will not be enough to keep him alive. Gets chased through by the Sakuchi. Gonna be a big kill, and now the drag back. X marks the spot. Torrent, Yadomi in a lot of danger here, and I don't think he has any way out of this situation. Not enough damage to force them away. Not enough survivability to keep the fight going, and he loses his life. Takes a tumble. 3 heroes fall. 40R in the gang. They really wanted to find that kill onto Draken, but woo! Definitely didn't go the way they thought it would.
Definitely not. And the worst part for them is that they gotta keep running now. This is when the big ults are down. This is where you gotta keep going. They have this level 6 over on the Nyx Assassin, so they can chase The question is if Balrogs are going to stick around, and it looks like they are declining the invitation.
They RSVP'd, sorry, won't be able to make it, you know. There's a travel ban not allowing us to go over this river, so sadly, we're gonna just stay on the safe side of things. Does feel a little bit like Wolf Team have been running themselves ragged to try and respond to some of these moves that Balrogs are making. And there was a period in the game where this Doom SF were top 2 in net worth, but now you were mentioning how Sven is going to find that timing to be able to go into the jungle. And whilst his team has been fighting all across the map, he's been nowhere to be seen. Just clearing out these stacks, top of the net worth right now, and doesn't feel like this particular situation is going to change anytime soon, especially since he's just about to pick up the full Echo Saber right now.
The SF, well, can't really keep pace, but he is still going to farm at a decent pace himself, and he is bringing in a Dragonlance right now as well. So HFN in a lot more of a comfortable position to turn up to fights if he would really want to. The real problem is right now that they don't have jump. They can't force out any of the big ults from Balrogs.
Oh, what a global! Ooh. What a global! It keeps Burner alive. They made a long smoke move from the Wolf Team, and they almost got the kill onto Sven. Now, though, they have to fight and try and save 40R. Doom did go out onto Sexy, but he's already done his job. Already used the global silence. 40R gets caught out. They bring him down with the Thunderclap, and now Stormhammer connected onto King RD. Beautiful 2-hero impale. Still dragged back by the X marks the spot, however. But with Sven being as low as he is, they decide that they actually don't want to keep fighting. Except for Draken, though, who activates the ultimate. They really want to try and chase down HFN. This SF trying to wind up the ultimate. The Requiem goes, and it will bring down the Weaver, but it might come at the cost of his own life. Robo Z takes him down with the Tidebringer cleave. He will die, though, through the Death Requiem, and Tavo finds himself losing his life to Burner and Draken. Unfortunately, without access to the Doom or the SF, they're just not afraid to just run him down, and he ends up losing his life. 3 for 2. Tier 1 tower does fall, but that is a smoke gank that Wolf Team decided to take. And unfortunately, it ends up biting them heavily, losing 4 heroes in the process there.
And that was exactly the problem I was talking about while I was distracting myself from the fact that that was going on, is they can't force out these ultimates without engaging themselves big time. And now they're going to have to go again. And anytime a fight doesn't go well, they're going to get heavily punished to the point where at some point they might not be able to get back up. For now, though, this Nyx Assassin is their only hope.
Fortunately for them, though, they have a lot of vision, but they don't see it. Burner gonna get counted on. He will get himself very low. Doesn't really have a way out of this. There's no globals, there's no other spells. Oh, beautiful Stormhammer, though. But Tornado will be clutch from this Invoker. It'll enable him to get that kill, but it doesn't come for free here, Kips, because down bottom, they managed to bring down HFN again.
He is so defenseless. An SF's only defense normally is that if you walk up to him, he's going to raise you 3 times. He doesn't have raises. He's a full attack speed SF right now. He is not even capable of taking anybody into the grave with him.
Oof. SF, Shadow Fiend, right now in a very rough position. They're going to lose their tier 1 tower down bottom. It has taken them a while from the Balrogs. Their push potential is quite mediocre, so this will not be easy for them to secure objectives all across the map. That's going to be one bright spot for the Wolf Team. But as it stands now, it just feels like Wolf Team, it's like you mentioned, right? They just have so much pressure on them. You always have to be doing something. It feels like they don't have any room to rest. Like any time that they're spending resting is time when these ultimates are coming back online, and they just frankly can't deal with that kind of team fight right now, if ever, really, given that they won't have BKBs for the triple BKBs we were mentioning earlier on. Not gonna come for quite some time still here for the Wolf Team.
They do have at least 2 of them queued up. So the SF and the Doom are working their way there. I honestly think that this would be fine if they weren't losing HFN off of their ganks. If he could be farming, because look at where he is on the net worth right now. He is actually ahead of Burna. It is possible for him to become a monster in this game, but he's just getting found a little bit too often.
They keep finding him, they keep scouting him. For once though, he does have some uninterrupted time, not too far away from his own BKB, so is he leading the charge or Doom? Doom's actually a little bit closer. It's 40R that's very far behind, still needs to pick up the Hand of Midas first before making his way to that item. But he's still definitely presenting himself as a legitimate threat in the right-click department. And provided he just stays not dying, that's been the big issue. He should still be A-okay in this game. And he's buying Midas after the BKB, so he's also going for the fully greed route here for this SF.
And I'm most concerned about this Midas for the Invoker. He's doing that exactly into a window where there's going to be pressure from the Aghanim Scepter over on the Brewmaster. There is going to be more global silences coming in, and he's absolutely defenseless. I realize that he eventually wants to, he wants to scale, he wants to make sure that he will get the Aghanim Scepter at a decent time later. But this is not even that great of a Cataclysm game either. It's a crap choice he has to make right now. He's going Boots of Travel too. They're taking this game late.
Yep. With double Midases, well, triple Midases really, because Doom has Midas, Invoker's about to have Midas, SF's gonna build Midas off the BKB. All three of them are gonna get BKBs as well eventually. So they really are biting the bullet and saying, this is gonna take a while. Let us challenge them into the late game. And I mean, the later this game goes, what do you make of this late game matchup? I feel like having the trip BKBs, potentially double Doom eventually from Tavo, all of that in tandem with a very stacked SF, like, they do seem like on paper they have a very strong late game lineup. So is the correct play for them to try and force that kind of situation with this itemization?
Sure. The problem here is that all three of these heroes really scale with levels. Like, the reason I'm talking with Asai about the Invoker and the Midas is that if you don't get it, your damage just doesn't scale either, because you need levels. That's the only thing that matters for your spells. So they're between a rock and a hard place. I don't think it's necessarily better or worse than the other option, where you sacrifice at least one of these three heroes scaling in order to get to an earlier peak.
Speaking of peaks, we're starting to finally see what HFN could look like when he reaches one of these local maxima. Alacrity, Bloodlust on him, they're inside the Roshan pit, right-clicking him down. The big man, not long for this world. Balrog Esports though, they're coming in, they want to try and stop this. Not much HP on Roche, 700. Will they find a fight? They go first onto this Ogre. Beautiful tornado from 40 yard. There's the global silence, but HFN's taking the Aegis. Yadomi will die as HFN pops BKB, tries to go for the Requiem, doesn't even bother. Kunka gets himself doomed up. It's already thrown out the boat though, and 40 yards just getting right-clicked out by Burner. HFN, his BKB is over. It's finished. So this damage is gonna be too much for him to deal with. Tavo doesn't have Doom anymore, so they don't really fear him. They're looking for HFN. Without protection, they have enough damage to bring the SF down. The Death Requiem will be significant though. It allows them to bring down the Sven as well on the other side. Tavo, does he escape? RoboZ doesn't want to try for the X just yet. Will be able to leech it out with the Torrent. They have enough damage to find that kill. And Yadomi, he bought back, can't afford to do so. Again, a dieback would be very, very disastrous right now. Trying to escape, trying to run, slowed down by these silencer spells and brought down by Draken. It's gonna be 4 heroes dropping around the Roshan pit. The lone survivor being this Nyx assassin. And Balrog Esports, they might not claim the Aegis here, Kips, but they certainly claim the favorable fight thereafter.
Absolutely, and this is where the lacking physical damage, like, this SF is big, but in the end, normally you use this hero as a mixed damage hero, where you first raise and then burst further down with the right clicks. When he's only right click, he is not going to have enough to go through all three of these tanky cores over on Balrogs, and it's not enough to build this team fight around. This is one of my worries about the SF carry. Like, if you're snowballing, that's great, but you're already safe lane. You're going to need some time to recover from that lane. And then afterwards, if you never get back on top, well, you get a situation like this where the fight takes forever and nobody dies because you just don't have the damage.
Oof. Razors could certainly have made a difference in that fight, but them not being available, the kind of damage output that he's putting into the game, doesn't fully threaten Balrogs. And I think it's very telling that the only times that we've seen deaths on Sven, really, have been through Death Requiems, right? It requires the SF throwing out the normal Requiem, then still dying before Burner feels like he's in that much of a negative position in these fights. Not great, not a great position to be in for HFN. Still a lot of game to go for him. Going to be trying to build into the Silver Edge right now, make sure that they have the necessary damage output, as well as a young break. So at the very least, they're not just hoping and praying that the right clicks will be enough. They have some degree of debuff that they can apply to the opponents, which they've also been struggling with right now. And also Tavo, I feel really sad for this Doom because kind of feels like his contribution in some of these fights has started and ended with the Doom, but his team can't really help follow that up to kill some of these bigger targets that he gets the spell down onto.
No, this is a hard game for him, but it's going to get a lot easier now with his Blink Dagger because now he can do this. And this is exactly the guy you want to pick off. And look at this!
Okay.
You forced the global. Before they had Blink Daggers, they could not do this.
Nice, nice, nice. You were talking about it. You need to be able to force this. And most of the time that they force these spells out, they had to full hard commit as well, end up losing lives. But now they get the spells out without having to have that be the case. Great job. Although I do feel like that was an overly ambitious global there from Sexy. He had to have known.
That was definitely, yeah. He was startled. It was probably not the best example, but I'm sure we're going to get another one here.
We're gonna try force more spell usage while they have the numerical advantage. RoboZ pops some smokes, blink forward by Tabo. They come across Sexy, so this silencer will be the one that dies here. Kunkka easily able to slink away from this engagement. But nonetheless, being able to get a kill onto Sexy, quite good here for the Wolf team. And they're bounding from kill to kill, and this time around, HFN is not the one that's being ganked at the same time by Balrogs. They've managed to find a lot of safe farm for him. Basically, opposite parts of the map from where they're fighting. They're like, where are we fighting? Here, cool, HFN, go somewhere else, bro. And it'll be okay.
Leave. Talking about opposite parts of the map, Burna. Oh, he finds a little stack as well. I have invaded this triangle. And do they have any sentries down? They don't have any sentries down over on the Dire. That's risky. You never know when a Nyx assassin will walk straight up into you.
They have one in the river, and maybe somebody on the team must have made the call that, hey guys, we don't have vision for Nyx. Get the hell out of here. And they all retreat and flee at the perfect time. We're also about to have a very, very interesting item spike here. The Aghanim Scepter for the Weaver is practically complete. We'll have it after one more creep. And now they will have the ability to double up on Burna's life, or to just double up. I don't think RoboZ needs that kind of help at this point, but for Burna, he can certainly now become a lot more of a presence at the forefront of the fight. Maybe even do some plays where he doesn't pop BKB super early and only uses it after the time lapse has been committed.
Very possible, because there's an Aeon disc over on Draken as well.
Oh, Tavo! Beautiful! Stop coming in with the Blink Dagger, but there's gonna be the global silence, but they've gotten the Doom out already onto RoboZ. Nonetheless, they lose Yaromi. RoboZ gets taken out. Burna with his BKB trying to chase down HFN. The Deafening Blast makes it impossible, but the Brewmaster Brewlings go up onto the high ground and prevent the SF from using the ultimate. However, they're starting to realize on Balrogs that it's a difficult place to be. Draken goes in, second usage of these Brewlings. Who will he be able to find and isolate? They toss up this Invoker into midair. Still though, Balrogs with Burna on the outskirts of the fight. They really don't want to go back in unless he's the one dishing out the necessary damage. And he finds it difficult to get the good angle and will rather decide to let this fight go. However, for the Wolf team, this is a perfect situation. They had to buy back on Nyx, but getting the kill onto RoboZ, making sure that Burna can't get deeper forward in the fight, forcing out global silence. End of the day, you'll take it. That's a fight that they will walk to the bank with smiles on their faces.
Absolutely. That double stun from the Nyx was excellent. And it buys them a bunch of time here. The Balrogs are now going to have to think very carefully about how they apply their next God Strength here. They do have that Blink Dagger over on the Sven, so if they have the correct vision, they can make another go. But right now, the Dire are all but blind. And it's very hard for them to find the fight the right way, whereas Wolf team have been scouting with this Nyx, with this Invoker. They even find RoboZ here. They're obviously not going to go for that behind the tier 2 tower, but it's starting to get hard for Balrogs to find ideal fights now.
Yeah, and they are really starting to fall very much behind on the vision advantage. Weaver does get a nice reward here. This will enable his team to secure the tier 2 tower down bottom, but look at all the sentries that are plopped down. Most of them are green, not red. And now, oh, Burna. Might have to BKB to get out of here because Tavo is coming in. They get the time lapse back. Okay, Burner, BKB active, goes back onto 40R. Do they get this kill? Yes, they do. The Invoker is defenseless. Tavo on the high ground with his own BKB, but it's about to expire. Needs to worry about being dragged back with the X. They will let him go for now as RoboZ is going to focus instead on King RD. They get that kill. Now, Tavo is still running away. Forced away from the fight by Burner. Burner cannot get chased out in time. Magnificently done by Balrog Esports. It looked like they were making a misplay, a mispositioning with the Sven. Instead, he's relying on the Weaver with the time lapse. And his reliance pays off. It allows him to get 2 kills, secure this tower. They're going to get back this outpost. And they force 2 BKB charges out of both HFN and Tavo here.
Worst part is that HFN also used this just now. He was scared of getting jumped on the high ground.
Tavo went in. That almost got a kill onto Burner. Burner was a lot of damage, but they drag him back during the global silence. Do they have the damage to kill him? Yes, they do. Draken there yet again with some save plays. Once more, they get the drag back from Kunkka. RoboZ's just been so good with these torrent plays, and it feels like he's got an Aeon Disc or something because the range is just insane on how he makes this happen. They don't manage to put any damage onto the tier 3 tower on the high ground, but certainly good enough to get another 2 kills. Force a bad situation for the side of Wolf Team. Now they have to be corralled inside their base a little bit. You got some advanced vision down whilst you were in the area. And you kept all the core heroes alive. Burner got out safely. Practically has the full AC at the ready now. Just needs the plate mail to complete it.
That is going to make a big difference for the next attempt at high ground or the next time they kill Roche, which is pretty soon because the big man is up again. And you can already see the Dire streaming over towards that side of the map. They're getting split pushed by 40R right now, though.
Yeah. Really feels like 40R... Yeah, it feels like this game's gonna change so much for him once he picks up this BKB. But it really feels like he wished... How different would this game would have been if he had the BKB 3 minutes ago rather than now in the next like 30 seconds or so?
Yep, I think the Hand of Midas was a necessity. So he would have had to play careful for at least the duration of that item, but... maybe the boots of travel weren't. It's hard to say. If you look back at this game, you can go through the replay and you can actually go and watch, all right, how much has he been split pushing? How often did Balrogs have to go back in order to deal with that? But as we are here right now, most of our focus has been on the skirmishing, so it's hard to gauge exactly how much work he has been doing with these BOTs.
Definitely, at the very least, he's been using them to shove in this top wave, finish the BKB. With 30 seconds without the Doombringer, Balrogs, I wonder if they do want to try and sneak a Roshan right here. The only source of negative armor that they have is from this Weaver. To be fair, Zisa does have the level 4 Swarm Bug, so they have enough negative armor, and they're going to go for it. They know as well that the side of Wolf Team has this SF, and they do not want to let him have the opportunity to go for the Aegis, so... time to do it now. Time to try and make this happen while this Doom is gone. And also a fight's gonna break out. They're going directly onto King RD. Draken gonna be there. Forced off onto the high ground, but it will not help versus the Spirit Vessel. They end up losing the Silencer though. HFN showing his utility and his use in that situation. Coming in with the right click damage. That's gonna be decent enough to force Balrogs away from this Roshan attempt. Top lane as well. They find this Weaver. Gets caught out by Tavo and 40R. Alright, now suddenly, they're the ones that have the numerical advantage. Balrogs Esports might have to buy back on these heroes if they want to defend this Aegis.
All ults are up on Balrogs though, and this Silencer can actually buy back for the global. I don't think he'll have to. But the threat is there. A Wolf Team knows this.
Defense still wants in the pit though. He's getting Alacrity, he's got the Bloodlust. They're stacking up on Balrogs. They want to smoke as soon as they show up with the Silencer. This TP is taking forever. And the Roshan, very low, but not low enough that they feel comfortable on the side of Wolf Team. What a jump! They find the Brewmaster! What a Doom to catch there. Tavo, can they get this kill? Aeon Disc gets popped to keep him alive, but Tavo, he's the one that has to run away right now. Loses his life at the end of the day. Buyback will be in from the Silencer. So Silencer did pop the global before going down in that situation. And everybody used their BKBs, so no BKBs anymore for the side of Wolf Team. So Burner, happy to go into the pit. They pop the Brew Split as well to zone them out on the backside. But beautiful Impale coming in from King RD. Will they be able to kill this Weaver? Not just yet. Burner though picked up the Aegis. Has gotten what they're here for. Draken will be left behind just to be as much of a nuisance as possible, but not necessary to try and get any of these kills. Might end up dying though. A little bit unfortunate in this situation. So himself, RoboZ, as well as Zisa, happy to die here, but they do give the Aegis to Burner with the Aghanim shot as well from the Roshan.
Those were some insane multicasts. That was... Balrogs really did not expect that amount of damage to come out. They were clearly just zoning for the Roshan, right? You shove them off the high ground, you're like, alright, fine, this is a Weaver and a Kunkka. We're pretty tanky, nothing's gonna happen to us. And then Ogre Magi just decided to get skilled.
Shows up, gets in the stuns that they need, and they more than have the necessary damage to clean these heroes up. And oh, nice catch. They find Sexy's. The silencer. He brought back as well, but oh no! Burner. 2 hero Stormhammer into a Lotus Orb, so it stuns him back. He's gonna end up just dying. He didn't pop the BKB before making that jump, so now he's in danger. He has to try and get out of here. But look at the right-click damage from HFN. Doesn't allow for it to happen. Just makes it too easy. There's no Sven and no buyback. And for some reason now, Wolf Team have the clear path to victory. At least 1 lane, potentially even 2 of racks are gonna fall here, Kips. What just happened?
TP. My eyebrows are all the way up in my hairline, and you know what a distance that is.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh no.
That is gonna cost some double racks here. They have Presence of the Dark Lord onto these buildings, and
it's just difficult. Well, they might kill Invoker
well,
here.
maybe they get 40R.
40R. Trying to get out the base. Pops BKB. They force it out of him. Tidal Wave dragging back the Shadow Fiend. He does have BKB to pop, but they're making so much interruption, causing so many problems that they're actually gonna zone back the side of Wolf Team in this situation. Torrent does hit the SF. Tidal Wave again onto him. You're gonna have to BKB at some point, HFN. They throw in the Arcane Curse with the last word. Really don't want to use these spells. And then are they still gonna chase? Draken doesn't want to get involved in this. What discipline from HFN not to use the BKB in that situation. Keep the charge up. I mean, he's already at 6. Okay, never mind. Could have just used it. But they don't end up dying. They all leave the base. It's all fine. It's all okay. It's all cool. But all they get is the 1 lane of racks. I'm actually surprised that Balrogs Esports made that hold.
Yeah, like, I think one of the problems is that Wolf Team just walks in through the base, especially with the Invoker. The fact that he immediately has to be force-staffed out and a lot of resources need to be spent on him, and including his own BKB, mean that after that, for the rest of the skirmish, he can't really contribute because he is at risk of immediately getting run down.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of people getting run down, come across this Nyx Assassin here on the side of Balrogs Esports. They get the kill, and also they finally realize that they need to do something to address Nyx. They recognize the impact King RD has had on this game, and Silencer for Sexy will finally buy a Gem of True Sight. They're tired of the situation as it stands right now. They need to get some vision control of the map back. Oh, middle. Tabo. BKB forced out of him. Burner. There. RoboZ does still have his own BKB to go. Global Silence will come out. HFN gonna force BKB and get himself back. Draken goes in with the Aghanim Scepter split. Who's gonna get gone on first? They just toss up the Cyclone onto the SF. And this is a very awkward place for both teams to be right now. Balrogs Esports definitely don't want to jump behind the tier 2 tower. And the side of Wolf Team don't want to be fighting with all their BKBs down. So everybody just retreats from this part of the map.
Balrogs will take that. Happy to let their ults get off of the cooldowns once again. And a Sven going in for the Satanic. This is going to be pretty important though. He always has people to hit with how short of a range most of the cores over on Wolf Team have. Going to be very hard to kite during that. And that's going to give him a lot of the sustain he needs to actually stand in front of all this chip damage that he's going to be receiving. And I'm calling it chip, but it's a lot of damage from a lot of different sources. It's just that none of it on its own would be enough to kill him. Tabo looking for another jump.
Gets a jump onto RoboZ with the Doom out as well. This Kunkka's in danger. The Kunkka is gone. Does have buyback though if needed. HFN BKB just came back off cooldown, so he's going to have a lot of protection on this high ground siege, but all he wants is the racks, and he does pick up the melee racks. And Balrogs Esports, they have such a difficult time finding this jump here. They can't do what Tavo just did to them in the opposite direction, at least not anymore. A phase of the game is long since over, and Wolf team very happily claim the lane of racks in that situation, do it clean as well, walk away with pretty much not a scratch on them as they do it.
In the absence of global, that's a pretty decently easy call to make. Next time though, they're going to have to be careful for that again.
Yeah. Global is up. What is frustrating about the situation though for the side of the Balrogs is they don't have like say Axe Disruptor that they can play around to mute some of these items. Really does feel like these items that they've picked up on the side of Wolf team have truly created a situation where the team fight combo of Balrogs always gets broken up, which is surprising because they picked the combo breaker lineup themselves. And middle, Tabo, they get the jump again onto Burner. They don't manage to kill him just yet. Sunstrike will follow through, doesn't connect flush though. Sven is still fine, but still not great. That Tavo, whenever he does that, he just forces the entirety of the Balrogs lineup to panic.
Tables have pretty much turned. We were talking about the late game, the ultra late game, where you have 3 heroes with Midases. In the end, HFN, of course, is not rocking it anymore. But you were always going to get to this point in their scaling where you have 3 proper cores versus a Sven and 2 support acts. And the Sven has a rough time targeting right now. Who does he need to jump? He wants 40R, ideally. Every single time, but most of the time he just doesn't offer himself up.
Staying so far back it becomes difficult, and RoboZ though, he's maybe the one that's been put on offer, and they forced the early global out. This is huge. Balrog Esports, if they don't take this upcoming fight right now, oh gosh, how do they make this hold? There is no global. On the bright side, I think at least one BKB was used. It was HFN's one, so they have to wait at least a minute before they decide to come back into this. However, that's a minute that they will gladly camp your triangle for until they feel ready to go. Especially with this Invoker, just throwing in these Forge Spirits to put the Melting Strike on the tower. Sometimes, you know, you're talking about the damage from 1,000 chip sources. They're willing to chip out the tower as well. No matter how long it takes, they got this. They'll make the job.
Yep, and his fire shield from the Ogre is making them extra annoying. Like, most of the damage the dogs. Oh, another jump from Tavo.
Get the Doom out onto this Brewmaster. No split gonna be available. Burner jumping in though on the backside of the fight. Needs to be careful. He's already out of the duration of his BKB. Tavo though getting dragged back into a bad place. They might be able to kill this Doom, but they really are struggling with the damage. They finally managed to bring him down. At the same time, Brewmaster split comes out. They've tossed up the Shelby. And remember, SF still 10 seconds away from BKB, but does have access to Satanic. Will stand his ground, deliver some damage, regen up, time lapse back onto the Sven. Draken, oh what a torrent! That torrent might set up for a kill onto HFN, but unfortunately, there is gonna be a Requiem first. They get the damage out after the Sunstrike as well, and Burner will die. He buys back instantly though, wants to go back into the fray. HFN back with the BKB, will expire in a moment. Trying to run out right now. The Weaver on the outskirts of the fight will get taken out as soon as they drop down this young ward. And at the same time, RoboZ finds himself having gone too far forward. He'll buy back as well. Everybody was buyback fighting. They want to get back into this fray. Will they catch anybody? RoboZ desperate to find the X. They want something. HFN gets himself Alacrity. Look at the turnaround. Look at the right clicks. Time lapse will still be good. X Torrent will be there. Burner without BKB doesn't want to jump back in, but he does have it now. We've got BKB on Sven. Will they do this? Will they try to make it happen? No, not yet, because Tavo jumps in first. There comes the global silence though. He will not be able to follow up with his own spells. Trying to chase down RoboZ with the Scorched Earth, won't be able to do so as Burner zones back the rest of the team. They turn back to Tavo, right click him back. There's gonna be a dieback on the Doom. And Balrogs, okay, starting to turn as also Draken isolates 40R. They will have the Hurl Boulder in a moment. They come back with the Stormhammer of Burner. And you were saying he's never presenting himself. He finally gets given on a platter by Draken. And they do get the massive kill. From this point, sadly for them, there is no Roshan. The big man's only coming in 20 seconds. But Balrog,
HFN?
they see HFN. He doesn't have
see?
BKB. Oh my gosh. Okay, Lotus Orb though. Definitely helping out. And the BKB CP's up. Whew.
But that's the God Strength popped.
Oof.
And
Roche
now
is
you're
up,
just
though.
gonna stand here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roche will oblige
3,
them
2,
though.
1.
Hey. What's up, fam? How's it going? Aegis Cheese with an Aghanim Scepter coming in right now. King RD will find himself tanking a lot of damage. Sunstrike goes forward. They really want to take this Roche. HFN though, right-click damage out onto this Weaver. Weaver is gone without buyback for 100 seconds. Burner gets off the BKB, so will not be subject to a Requiem. However, with the BKB popped, no global silence available. That means that the Roshan is just going to be theirs for the taking. And they claim it straight up on the side of the Wolf team. Give the Aegis to the Shadow Fiend. The Aghanim Scepter goes... Where did it go? Where did the axe go? Oh, it's still on the Shadow Fiend as well. Alright. So the Shadow Fiend will just drop the axe for somebody else to pick up. Who cares about this? Meh. Who needs this item?
Throw it on the ground. It's going to go to King RD.
Alright.
Rightfully so. And this is going to... This siege situation was already so hard for Balrogs, but without, especially an Aghanim Scepter over on their Sven, that would have been so good for him to finally enable him to jump into the backlines of these team fights, but... Now once again, he has one shot.
Yep. Very few bites at this cherry. One shot, one opportunity. The tidal wave drag back though is good. Shadow Fiend does pop Satanic and will actually come close to losing the first life. Not just yet. Will be able to get the lifesteal off of some creeps. They're trying to force out these megas here from the side of the Wolf team, and they will be able to do it. At the same time, getting a quick kill onto the Silencer as well. Down for the count without buyback. And now they're going for the jugular. Now they're going for the win. They are gonna do it. HFN might not have BKB, but this is the last fight. Will they be able to do this for the Balrog? Sven doesn't have the damage alone, but will still try to make it happen. Goes in onto King RD, who gets forced off towards the fountain, but it's too little too late. Tabo jumping in. Beautiful stun out with the Centaur Conqueror Stomp. Enables them to kill Burner. Without buyback, the Sven is done. That's it. It's over. GG, well played. Kips, we're going to a game number 3.
Whew. That was a lengthy one, and Wolf Team had to struggle forward for that one all the way. They really could not afford to drop the ball anywhere. But as time goes on, with all of the items that they get up because of their Midases, with the BKB juggling that goes on in this game, they finally get to push through Balrogs on the back of, honestly, shorter cooldowns again. All of those jumps from Tabo, all of the times that HFN can hold his BKB because there's no global silence right now. It must feel good to win like this, but it was quite a ways away.
Definitely wasn't an easy game for them, especially the earlier portions of the game. The laning phase, the early mid game didn't necessarily seem super favorable for them, but the turnaround, once they got that blink on Tabo, start playing that aggressively, everything starts to fall in their way, and Balrogs, unfortunately, a bit too difficult. But Burner can't carry this game all by his lonesome. Draken genuinely did try his best, but it's kind of like what you mentioned. Between the Kunkka and Draken, there's two supporting heroes that are enabling the Sven versus several heroes who can actually kill you and deal damage from the other team of the Wolf side. So Wolf team have evened it out here, Kips. They've made this a 1-1 affair. They've now brought us back to parity. So going into game 3, if you're Balrogs, what's your response and your reaction to this game? Are you thinking, well, we got a bit rinsed in the latter portions of the game, let's just draft better next time? Or do you feel like, GG, go next, we got these guys, we just have to make sure that we play more aggressively from the jump?
Yeah, I think it's time to redo this draft. Our way definitely got a better grip on what Balrogs wanted to do with this draft this time around. No extremely big time lapses for this Weaver. Not enough presence for Draken in the end, even though he played an amazing game once again, I must say. So they got to go back to the drawing board and not show exactly the same heroes again, because Our Way has now figured out a way to deal with this.
Absolutely. Our Way, the Wolf team, now in a position where they are drawn up 1-1. It's almost exactly like last week. Balrogs Esports takes game 1. Our Way Wolf team takes game 2. if history is any predictor of the future, as Kips has told us, it's a guarantee to happen. That should mean that Wolf's team is feeling favored. But whether or not history will repeat itself, we will find out in just a moment. As Game 3 is being loaded up, the teams are getting ready. So in the meantime, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned here to the channel, because when we return, the finale. Wolf team versus Balrog Esports. This is the South American DPC lower division. I'm Snare, this is the Empress Kips, and we'll be right back. Ladies, gentlemen, and our NB comrades, welcome back here to another game in the lower division of the South American DPC. We are in the finale of this best of 3 series. The Wolf team taking on the side of Balrogs Esports. Whoever wins this one game will claim not just the victory on the game itself, but the all-important wins in the round robin. Get you closer and closer to elevating yourself into the upper division of the South American DPC. It's quite a journey to go on. It's quite important games. To bring you this action, it's myself, Snare, and the queen, the empress of Dota 2, Kips. How are you feeling about what the series has been like, and what do you expect for this third game?
Oh, well, I was talking about how Balrogs might need to try something new because they got found out, but they say, no, we did it right the first time, and the second time we didn't have a good enough basket to put all of our eggs in. And in a lot of ways, I agree there. Sven is definitely a lot more conditional than a Medusa. You can't just put Sven in the middle of whatever's going on and win the fight, and you can totally do that with a Medusa. Much easier to execute with the Weaver. But at the same time, I wonder if our way isn't going to be ready for them this time around. They've played this roughly same game a couple of times now, especially if they take out something like the Kunkka right now. You have a lot less options for the damage reduction. Your cooldowns are most likely going to go up. I hope Balrog has some twist for us in the second phase here.
Yeah, we'll definitely
And a Ursa ban.
Oh gosh. They're prepared. They need to be ready. One thing I find really interesting about the matchup as well, though, it's always cool when the first match that a team plays in the DPC itself is the last match that they played in the qualifiers. So you sort of have to demonstrate that it wasn't a fluke, that you got yourselves in the easy way, at the very least on the side of our way, aka Wolf team. For Balrogs, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for them. They've done this matchup many times, and looking at all their previous games, this seems to be the strategy that works best for them. So now I'm also wondering, if we don't have Kunkka, and even if he is available, do you think RoboZ will say, yo, let's play this 3 times in a row? By now, surely they should feel like they've been figured out a little bit as to what that hero brings to the playstyle and to the field.
I mean, sure, but RoboZ and Kunkka are kind of married. It's like, if you ask him to, do you want to play Kunkka another time? He's like, hell yeah. You see, there goes the ban. Like, if we don't ban this, he's just gonna play it again.
We don't want to break up a happy home, so we understand. We get it. So without
just a timeout.
What goes there now in this situation, given that you still want a hero that's able to soak up beef, create some opportunities for Dusa to get big, take some heat and attention off of her, but still lane well against the Invoker? Like, what other RoboZ heroes does he have if he is stepping out on his partner, the Kunkka, for a little bit?
Truth be told, most of the rest of his heroes are actually active playmakers. Like, he plays a whole bunch of the spirits, of course, especially the Storm and the Ember. He's got a history of playing things like Puck in the right matchups, Templar, Assassin, but TA is definitely not advisable this game, seeing as that there is already a carry, and TA really only accepts it if the game is about her. It gets a lot harder here. I imagine that they're going to wait for the end for him here, and get most of their empowerments out of the offlane now. And that could be another Brewmaster, unless Wolf Team here says, like, all right, you change your tune. We're done dealing with that. We're done chewing through all of your thick hides after doing 1.5 hours of that just now.
I mean, yeah, this series actually has been going for quite a bit of time between the two teams, and we'll see if RoboZ is already playing something new. Draken might be forced into the same situation. Of course, Weaver, Zisa reprising his role across all 3 games. Very happy to make that happen. I am a bit concerned, though, for if they do go for the Draken Brewmaster again. It worked really well with Kunkka having all that chaos in the midst of one area of the fight. I wonder how it fares if there's a different hero in that situation. Now, with the ban on Puck, where are they going with this? They want to just make sure that obviously Invoker's going to have a good lane. They don't want to get locked down into a small area where Medusa can just rain damage on top of you. So I imagine it's going to be a support pick right now. At least get the hero for, is this going to be a 4 or 5 Snapfire? Or do you think they don't know just yet and they just want the hero already?
I don't think they know just yet. You can do basically anything with that. Cool Snapfire lanes are usually with the Mars, for example, not happening this time. You can go Pangolier. That's a big minus armor lane, very powerful, high kill pressure. But at the same time, if you see an offlaner that you want to play here that doesn't combine too well with the Snapfire, you just push her to 5. No, I guess I kind of saw that coming. Tavo doesn't really love his Pango.
Bango! So Chaos is certainly gonna still be a feature of this game, even if Balrogs don't go for Kunkka or the Brewmaster. But this time around, Tavo is gonna be the one that's bringing that Chaos. And we already saw in the last game just how good he can look when he has a way to get that forward initiation for himself. Obviously, the early Blink Dagger from Pango will help in that regard, but even without it, just having that kind of understanding of where to position a hero for maximum effect in a fight is something we've seen from Tavo across the series. Even in that game 1 that they lost, there was some excellent Ravages that came out. It just didn't work out to be enough. And for RoboZ, you were mentioning his spirits, it's going to be the Void Spirit. That's the option for them. A way to get to the backlines, a way to be able to at least catch Pango and kill him, but also another hero that can create a little bit more chaos in the mid game in particular.
Yeah, and I think this is especially a tool to do things like catch off the Snapfire, make sure that you interrupt her ultimate with your Remnant, or you can burst her straight up. You're not too bothered, like you're not likely to get locked down by the Pangolier in an awkward corner of the fight. You do very well versus the Invoker in lane. And combined with a Grimstroke now, you get a lot of initiation and damage out of this combination. Grimstroke great with the Weaver here as well. The Inkswell is going to do a lot of work this game, and later on, this also really fits their MO of making the biggest possible threat out of this Medusa, because with the Inkswell shard, you actually give her healing and a hard dispel, which is insane.
Yeah, definitely a lot of uptick that this Grimstroke is giving towards the team. And I'm just looking at how crazy these fights are going to look in the mid game. Also, I love one of the things about Grimstroke is being able to have Phantom's Embrace against Pango, stopping the roll. That little second that Pangolier is not tucking into the wall can really change the team fight, especially when you have heroes as mobile as Weaver, Void Spirit. Also, no matter what they pick for the safe lane, obviously HFN last game you played the Shadow Fiend. Now there is also the potential later on for a Dark Portrait Illusion to emerge. So you have to be very careful about what you pick, lest it be a hero that can just rinse your entire team as well. So I doubt, for example, that we'll see a Luna emerge at this point in the draft.
We go back for the SF. I don't think either of us were sold on it, right, last game? HFN for most of that, even though he managed to convert it into a win in the end, and he was truly a terrifying presence. It took him a long time to get there, and they're playing with another Invoker again, 2 cores that could just get ran at. And at some point, the Pangolier is just going to be running between the two of them, like help. We can't kill people, and I can't save either of you either.
Yeah.
This is once again very momentum based, unless they switch this Invoker to support, but I haven't seen that in a hot minute.
Oh gosh, support Invoker? It could happen, but it's unlikely to. And another thing that, like you mentioned, he's going to have difficulty in the game, but also last game, having Doom, I think, also really made a big difference, because you at least had, we blink, we press R, one of your heroes isn't participating in the fight. They don't have like such a big, easy counterplay option in this game. And, you know, as Medusa, the matchup for, we're talking about how Sven never gets the Shadow Fiend, like Shadow Fiend gets eaten alive, and we saw that a few times in the last game, but what started happening was just Sven could never get there anymore. Medusa doesn't really care about having to get to the Sven. At some point, Medusa will be like, one of us is standing our ground, and if it's me, you don't want that to happen, you're going to end up losing, my friend. Becomes a bit more complicated with this particular matchup, but still have supports for the 5 position to be picked for the side of our way, the Wolf team. Erstwhile for the Balrogs, we need an offlaner here. And what is left? They've taken out a lot of these heroes. Of course, the Brewmaster is still in the pool though, if Draken does want to dip back for it. Do you think right now, looking at the lay of the land, that it's still a viable option for him?
Yeah, might even be just as good as before. He's going to be a beefy frontliner to work around for this Void Spirit. Something that the Medusa wants as well. Chaos for these team fights. I guess it's tempting here for example, the Doom gets banned out for our way, right? To get something that combos up better with the Grimstroke. But most of those options seem to be gone as well. I was chiefly thinking about the LC here. And honestly, as Balrogs, I feel like your options are so far open here. As long as you pick a beefy dude, you might even want to think about a... they're gonna go Beastmaster.
Okay. I suppose this still fits into the idea of having some kind of amp for the Medusa, give her the inner beast aura for that additional attack speed. One side of the map is always getting pushed in, so there's more space for Medusa to play the map, and we have BKB piercing disabled to apply towards either 4DN or HFN, but the last pick Dawnbreaker here coming in for Yadomi. So some additional support plays from Yadomi. Gonna get the Solar Guardian in this game, Selly Hammers just to try and open up as much space as possible. Does still feel like they're feeding into this idea of protecting and enabling HFN, but I think this made a lot more sense with Ogre than it does with Dawnbreaker. Keeping the hero alive feels markedly different than giving him attack speed to make him hit harder.
I do like the idea of being able to back him up wherever. I also think that this lane is slightly stronger. I haven't seen too much Dawnbreaker yet, but depending on HFN's build, and especially depending on how Dragon plays this lane, they might be able to snipe some boars here and there. Between the range damage of the SF and, of course, the Dawnbreaker's reach on her. Ooh, what's the ability again?
The Selly Hammer, the Q, yeah.
Yeah.
Celestial Hammer. Her spell names are so cool, but they're as cool as they are annoying to play against. Like, I never smile when I see Dawnbreaker. It's just like, oh, this is gonna be a nice little confusing game. And here we go, our way, the Wolf team. With that last pick Dawnbreaker, they're relying on her to give them not just the Game 3 win here in this series, but their first win in the South American DPC. The road to the upper division, the road to TI potentially starts now. Let's see what they've got. Game 3 is underway here, Kips. And I've refrained, right? I've refrained the whole day from asking you, but it has to happen now. Who you got for this third game?
Who I got for this third game? I really enjoy the Balrogs lineup. The only point of contention for me is the Beastmaster lane versus the SF. I don't know exactly if the Beastmaster can get as much presence out of that lane as he would want. But after that, all of the puzzle pieces seem in place for a great Medusa game.
Yep. Burner is certainly going to be trying to stack up in a position where he can carry as hard as he did in game 1. Did a stupendous job on this Medusa that time around. Let's see what can be achieved here. And I suppose the lane for him, you know, for the Beastmaster, life is going to be questionable against the Shadow Fiend. Certainly, you're not concerned about having to lane against the Pango side of the map here as this Medusa. Provided you just have the one hero next to you in this Grimstroke, you'll be fine. You'll get all the CS you want.
It's a dangerous lane though. This Grimstroke might die a couple of times. Do not underestimate the sheer amount of minus armor coming out from the little shredder, plus the lucky shot.
Tavo, speaking of one of those spells here, the lucky shot, they zone him away from this bounty rune. So yet again, Balrogs are on track to get themselves the... Oh no, last time it was actually the side of our way. And they're gonna get First Blood this time. Sexy, running beneath the tier 1 tower, throws back a Stroke of Fate, gets a lot of heroes low. Tavo now is the one that's getting much lower. They need to turn though. Scatterblast comes back in. And Weaver, with Sakuchi at the ready, will be able to get away. A lot of HP, a lot of damage traded here around this mid lane. Ultimately, they still get the 3-for-1 trade on Balrogs, but it's not a clean trade. They get Sexy forced all the way back to base. On the bright side though, all of this means that Medusa did get largely a free wave here, so you'll at least be able to get a CS or 2 without having to worry about, oh god, I'm alone without Grimstroke nearby. And bottom lane, Yadomi, you were concerned about the presence of this Beastmaster, and they really vindicate these concerns, getting this early First Blood here from the Radiant lineup. The Wolf team are ahead. The Wolf team are trying to make a repeat of history by grabbing games 2 and 3.
And getting off to a good start here. Doubleborn now up though. HFN is going to have to consider how he trades here, but he's already got level 2. So he's got that first point in the Necromastery as well. He's going to start hitting harder and harder.
And the harder it gets with the right-click damage, the easier it is to really deal with these balls. You fear them a lot less at that point. We see Medusa though dying in the top. Oh my gosh. Alright, you were talking about it, that there is risk in this lane, but look how far up King RD went. Didn't even need Lil Shredder, just Scatter Blast underneath the tier 1 tower. They get the Medusa dead. And it doesn't look like King RD is going to even die for this either.
That is wild. I have no idea how that happened. And they're not opting for the minus armor lane here, by the way. Really making sure that they can push the lane instead, getting the Scatter Blast and the Swashbuckle. Potentially putting that Medusa under her tower, which will isolate the Grimstroke and make him easy food. But yeah, the Medusa has already offered herself up once, surprisingly.
They chow down on the snake. In real life, armadillos and pangolins in general can eat reptiles, so Medusa in a bad position from there. And this just doesn't really become easier as time goes on, right? If they've gone for this build of max harass already, and then they still go back for the negative armor, things can get a bit dicey there. So they're going to be quite reliant on what happens on other sides of the map, as King RD taking a lot of damage, jumps back in with the Fire Snap cookie, but him and Sexy are just saying hello to each other. And I say that until the Swashbuckle flies in from Tower with his shield crash. And they take out this Grimstroke and they get this D-Ward at the same time. King RD. Alrighty, doing a lot of work here in this early game on the Snapfire.
Very oppressive lane this, whichever way you take it. And Tava is going to be finishing off his Orb of Corrosion pretty soon.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Corrosion coming up. Alright, they need help. Well, not right now, but they need RoboZ to be doing well. Fortunately, he is. But they certainly cannot afford to have a game where also RoboZ is playing in this catch-up position if the side lanes are at this point in time not going as magnificently as they would want it to for the Balrog Esports lineup.
Luckily, he is up against the Invoker, so he has some tools versus the Harass. Of course, you are reliant on your bottle here for the regen, whereas the Invoker is never really going to go that, so he's always going to have an item advantage over you.
Okay.
And in the meantime, HFN just got run again on level 3. I should have seen that coming.
It's kind of like clockwork it's been in this series, honestly. Once level 3 is hit, Draken makes a dive to try to bring down HFN and force the aggression on the side of the map, and works out again. He's not playing the Brewmaster, he's playing this Beastmaster, but it still does the trick. Gets him closer towards halving the helm of the Dominator, and that also will begin the journey to helm of the Overlord. And they wave clear, especially considering that HFN is not going to build into the Shadow Razors, as they quickly lose this Weaver down bottom. At the same time, 40R gets the grab and the kill in the river onto where this Weaver came in. Yo, things are looking really good right now for the Wolf team. This early start to the game, sure they ended up losing HFN, but in the grand scheme of things, given what they've gotten elsewhere, it just seems so good a start for them at this point. Oh no,
Their lanes are not looking bad at all.
Oh god, about to lose his life. The Scatter Blast. King RD showing why he leveled up this ability. And he gets the kill onto Burner. That's the second death of the Medusa here, Kips. Not even 5 minutes into the game. And the side of Balrog Esports have lost Medusa twice. They've lost Beastmaster. And even Void Spirit, yeah, he's getting the good CS, but not having a phenomenal time in this laning phase. It is a rough start for them. Can they still recover despite the game looking this dire already?
Well, they can. Like, for example, this Beastmaster is going to have a better time now that he's got the Helm of Iron Will. That's going to help him out a ton versus the minus armor of the President of the Dark Lord. His lane has been salvaged. And they will have RoboZ rotating pretty soon. He just really needs this rune. And after that, they can definitely start killing HFN. We saw that in the previous game with a Kunkka and with a Void Spirit. You can definitely double down on that, especially because they are going to be pushing this bot lane into the bottom tier 1 tower again. Should make for a pretty easy TP rotation for RoboZ.
Speaking of this Beastmaster, actually, I was going to ask you before we saw that previous fight break out. Once Draken is able to pick up the full Helm of the Overlord, it doesn't strike me that they have that much wave clear like what they have when he gets Maelstrom eventually. As we see, he might get it off of this kill onto Sexy. Snap Cookie's back, but RoboZ, first big rotation, able to burst away the Snapfire. Not only that, but with a double damage rune, gets a double kill. Certainly very happy with the first place he's gone on this map. And not just to get the kills, but to help out the top lane with this Medusa. We're starting to struggle, and now we'll be struggling no more thanks to the help of RoboZ.
Excellent. I mean, you always take those 2 kills over 1 bottom. It feels really nice. Now he gets to come back into the mid lane with his DD still going, mop up this push attempt by the Invoker, not even miss any of the 2 range creeps. He is loving life right now.
2 range creeps, a Siege Dragon. Life is good. And you prevented them jumping top. You definitely are very happy about this as RoboZ. Makes life a lot easier for you. And what's the build up this game? I know we want Agnum Scepter at some point for the hero, but does he stop over at Yules first, or are we going one of those Sanj and Kaya games for the Void Spirit?
Might be a decent Sanj and Kaya game, yeah, but it might also be a decent rush game, honestly. You get so much out of the extra burst damage here. HFN looks like a dead man.
Yep, nothing he can do. The Inkswell though, potentially not on the right target, but it ends up not being important. HFN gets taken out. Yadomi, you don't have level 6, so there's no option for a Solar Guardian. Therefore, you are just gonna die. 2 heroes brought down. RoboZ yet again instrumental in some key rotations for Balrog Esports. And with the Medusa having already dipped back into the jungle, they don't have to really care that much that Tabo and King RD are sieging this top tower. You just have to be glad that RoboZ has been involved in 4 kills in the last 2 minutes. Definitely feels good to be him right now.
And he's got himself a great game. And now this Beastmaster with the Helm of the Dominator is on the bottom tower. He gets to trade for top. They are going to try to get Yadomi his level 6 here, which he will get with the death of this last creep.
Reinforcements though, Primal Roar thrown back out onto the Grimstroke, onto the Dawnbreaker, just to create space for them to escape. Sexy, will he be able to get out of dodge here? He's inside the trees, 40R does see him, but the Phantom's Embrace laid out before any spells could emerge. Swashbuckle from Tabo also won't connect. And Sexy, that was some really heads-up play from the Grimstroke. They managed to stay alive, move away from this. They forced out several TPs to this bottom lane without losing a single person.
And that's no earn charges for this Invoker yet. I feel like it's a story we've seen before with 40R.
Definitely will need them in a dangerous place right now, getting slowed up by the Stroke of Fate. RoboZ is also closing the gap in. They have vision with the Sentry Ward here, and Tabo, he's rolling. Solar Guardian comes in from Yadomi. They managed to bring down the Grimstroke, but they need to start fleeing away from the fight right now. RoboZ goes in with the Dissimulate, unable to connect onto King RD. Tabo with a big shield crash does enough damage to this Weaver that it's not really viable to go back in. At the same time though, RoboZ has no such excuse, so will very easily turn his attention to the Snapfire. And King RD will fall. RoboZ will extend the streak to a dominating one, involved in 5 of his team's 6 kills. This Void Spirit is making all the action on the map happen, and he might even catch out HFN.
Ooh. Does he have all of his spells? He only has 1 step. This is not enough.
But they have the Inkswell. He jumps forward with this one. They will find the stun. They will find the right click. They will find the kill. And Balrogs, on the back of RoboZ, they find another kill onto a core hero. HFN down for the count again. And unlike in the last game, where each time he dies, he's only really dealing with the Sven on the other side. This is a Medusa. And they're not done. RoboZ, are you kidding me, my friend? Inkswell crashing directly onto this Invoker. Stroke of Fate will connect onto the Swarm Bugs. Will come out. RoboZ has an astral jump onto the high ground. Easily able to mop up the Invoker with the help of this Weaver. Tabo at the very least finds some revenge by taking out Sexy, but RoboZ, my goodness, just relax, my friend. It's only a game.
Oh, this is not a game for him. I mean, it might become a game for him. There's really nothing that Wolf Team can do against him right now. They don't have any good stunts to throw at him. Look at this rotation here again. They're not going to give away this tower for free.
Nope. They get the deny because, of course, RoboZ gets the deny. He's just doing everything today. Like, wow. I am very impressed by RoboZ.
Yep. This Invoker is queuing up. Oh, is that a Hex? He had an Orchid before. Because he knows that somebody needs to do something about RoboZ. but it's going to be quite a while, and he seems to actually have settled for it. Like, Hand of Midas, into Boots of Travel, into Hex. By the point he gets there, I don't think this is only RoboZ's game anymore. They're going to have to find something else.
Yeah. Speaking of RoboZ, oh no, he comes across for the R. The Tornado will not be good enough to keep him away because he has the Asphalt Step. Dragged him back with the Aether Remnant, but nobody nearby to fully help out. They don't have enough reveal either. And Morty's Kisses will now be flown in. Will they do enough to kill Sexy? It does seem to be the case. He throws out the Soul Bind first though. RoboZ though still very low to jump that deep in without having better information. At the same time, they're chasing down King RD. The Weaver doesn't want to go in for the last right click because the Swarm Bug will do the job for him. They managed to find that kill. Somehow they still haven't managed to take down this tower down bottom. These heroes from our wave, aka Wolf's team, keep coming down here to defend it. But surely this time, with the Sea Dragon, RoboZ here, Dragon in the offing, you have to let this one go at some point.
Finally, they'll get to chew through that one. I mean, that was a bunch of space created for HFN though. We remember him dying a lot in the previous game during skirmishes like this, where his team couldn't make enough pressure. But as it turns out, if the enemy is chasing you and they're going after the side of the map where SF is not, he is actually safe on the other side of the map instead of your team making the pressure and not putting enough of it on.
Probably helps a lot that he's farming in front of a tier 1 tower, so... And they have a very deep ward out into the dire jungle, giving him information on any of these heroes that rotate in, unless they're smoked, of course. But for now, it's been all good, fighting far away from him. He's gonna keep accruing farm. Oh, here's the I've been trying to ask this so many times. So check this out, right? Helm of the Overlord comes out for this Beastmaster. Outside of Swashbuckle Maelstrom, since this SF is not gonna go into the Razor's build, where does the wave clear come from to deal with those armies of the Beastmaster?
I mean, the army not necessarily, but having big physical right-click damage is actually better to take down the big creeps than any kind of wave clear, because you're looking for concentrated damage. So it's not going to be the worst, but it is going to be risky that you need to put the SF in right-clicking range in order to do that. And in this game versus the Roar, like, either he's going to have to build a Lincoln's or somebody else is going to have to build something like a Lotus Orb for him, which is of course not a guarantee of survival, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it is a better tool than needing specific wave clear against it, but at the same time, you're putting yourself at a lot of risk here.
We've certainly seen what can happen when HFN is in those risky positions and risky situations. Hasn't always bode well for him and his team, but in this situation, in this game, things are still proceeding relatively okay. It is a 2k gold lead for the Balrogs Esports lineup, but by no stretch of the imagination is this game over. However, what is scary is look how far ahead this Dusa is getting. Burner is just obscenely farmed right now. Very far up, seeming to continue this trend. Has been allowed to just farm the jungle, and Top Tabo might end up dying here to RoboZ. Solar Guardian will emerge here to try and render some protection. It's going to be good enough that they do decide to retreat. Yaromi dives forward with the Selly Hammer, not enough to really get the kill. Here comes the Rolling Thunder, but there's a Soul Bind. Big hard counter, can't do anything. Sexy will die for this, but we've seen Sexy die many times in this series for his cause, and will gladly do it again.
That man knows exactly when to hold him and when to fold him, and this was definitely a fold situation.
Yep. Like, it's fine, yeah, I'll fold. But bro, we're on the river, it's fine. Fold it. It's cool. It's the right thing to do. So, looks like RoboZ also answered the question from earlier about the item build-up. He's going for the Sanjin Kaya. Does feel like it's going to be very effective in this game. Having that additional status resistance does change a lot. But will mean that he's going to have a little bit of delay until he has the Aghanim Scepter. So we might have a BKB or two out on the field for the Our Way Wolf team lineup by the time he's able to finish that. So we'll see how the game goes. Right now the defense is for the tier 1 tower is on. They need to try and defend this, but wow, look at how much damage they've already put into this one.
And it's really only Burna hitting right now. Medusa making short work of the tier 1.
Of course RoboZ gets it. Whatever, dude. You're not allowed to have a game this good, RoboZ. Calm down. 5-0-2. Denied his own mid tower. Gets the opposing one. They're about to have Sanj and Kaya. I would not put it past them to literally smoke immediately as soon as they get it. But they actually want to go now even. RoboZ.
It's not that big of a power spike. It's because most of the offensive capabilities come out of the Kaya.
He's jumping in right now, gonna show us those offensive capabilities with the Inkswell combination out onto 40R. Not gonna be enough to get the kill just yet because of the jump in with the Solar Guardian. But at the end of the day, Spirit Vessel drop down onto the Invoker means that there's no healing coming from the Dawnbreaker. They've lost one. Tavo shows up with Rolling Thunder. Will he be able to find another target? But instead, he might become the target himself. Trying to jump back with the shield crash, but not enough protection offered. Inkswell now out onto King RD. He's gonna be chased down. Easy kill. RoboZ able to get on a wicked 6 kill streak right now. 3 heroes will fall in this fight. Our way thought they might be able to do something to try and save the Invoker, but by streaming in with their heroes, they just find themselves being targets themselves. Big fight for the Balrogs there, especially because Medusa, she took the tower and left. So while they were taking that massive fight, she was just quietly, calmly farming somewhere else. That's cool.
The tinkling of gold merrily in her ears while HFN was standing around. Like he was also farming, but he was definitely keeping one eye on that fight and stepping over to the side. Like, do I need to? No, okay, I'll hit a couple more of these, and that adds up in the long run.
Yeah.
It does. And man, I know you've already been heaping the praise over on RoboZ, but I want to get some in as well. Please don't let me curse him, by the way. But both his side lanes lost.
Yeah.
This man solo made up for that. They're 4k ahead in the transition out of the laning stage right now because RoboZ just nailed every single rotation.
Will be needed again though, as he is in a fight right now. They take out the Dawnbreaker very quickly whilst Burner needs assistance, gets taken away by the SF, and the Tavo Hang goes rolling onto him. Unfortunately, they didn't have the Soul Bind to stop the Rolling Thunder. They didn't have the Primal Roar. Finally, something goes right for the side of the Our Way. They get the kill onto Dusa, the big target. Unfortunately, RoboZ was able to get the kill onto the young Dawnbreaker on the far side of the fight, but that's not really where the main engagement was happening. Not his fault though. How was he supposed to know that Tavo was in the area? So it's cool, it's fine. It's not a curse just yet. He's still okay. He's still a boss at this point. Like
Yeah,
this.
I mean,
Look at middle.
like that.
He's going in, getting this quick jump, and King RD not gonna end up dying, but RoboZ wise enough to get out of dodge. Oh, sexy though. Gets taken out by Tavo. What a quick response from Radiant side, and Our Way, the Wolf team. Alright, they're gonna make this a game for us right now. They decide that, you know, we're tired of just getting rolled in all of these fights. We're gonna punch back a little bit ourselves.
I mean, part of it is definitely that the items are coming in for their side lanes now. Tavo does not have to play as careful anymore because he has the gold for his Maelstrom and he's bringing that in right now. And that's going to be very sad for most of this Beastmaster's army, even though the Overlord is coming and Tavo won't be able to do much against an Ancient creep on his own.
Tavo. Once he gets this Blink Dagger, I'm worried, Kips, that we have a similar situation that we saw in Game 1, where Balrogs are able to play this aggressive style, getting into the faces of the Wolf team until Tavo gets Blink, and then suddenly we saw what happened in the last game is literally the second after they got the Blink Dagger. And
Roshan?
Alright, big man's getting caught. Oh, he managed to kill Yodomi. Is Yodomi gonna die here? No, the Requiem! It fears Roshan away, buys time for the Dawnbreaker to use the Selly Hammer to get out. However, all these heroes are now a little bit low. Expended some resources here. Stone Gaze, though, was committed as well from the Balrogs lineup. So they certainly don't want to do anything too risky here. Yodomi will not get caught in by this Inkswell. Able to Selly Hammer down the hill. And they still remain alive in this situation. Balrogs desperate to try and get control of this Roshan area. They know that they can't easily take it themselves, at least not just yet. Only right now. Oh, we've actually got level 4 Swarm and Medallion. Alright, never mind. We can take this, but can we take it fast enough that we avoid the fights is the question.
They did get the wave as well. I think one of the things that I'd really rather wait for is the Soulbind. They have the Roar at the ready for a Pango roll, but if they get forced to spend it on something else, suddenly their entire team fight is shot. They kind of want to have both options.
Soulbind with Primal Roar, potential for double roar. And Butterfly up now for the Medusa. We're of course going to be very far away from an MKB or anything of the like emerging from our way. As we see a quick fight going on to HFN. He doesn't have BKB, so they're trying to force this fight before he has that defense. Spirit Vessel is out onto him from the Weaver, and it's good enough to get the kill. No more SF. Weaver dies happily to make that trade. Will be a killing spree ended. However, HFN, without a life being available, suddenly everybody else is trying to flee. Robo-Z jumping forward. They get the Inkswell stun out onto King RD. Doesn't manage to find the Aether Remnant just yet. It's a little bit off the mark, so the Fire Snap Cookie might protect him. The Phantom's Embrace will be there. Robo-Z might be chasing too deep here. Does have a Dissimulate. Aether Remnant gonna be good enough, so he can dissimulate to safety instead. And they made a very deep jump with Robo-Z, but it ends up being worth it. HFN down, Snapfire down, and now the path to Roshan. Finally, Kips is open.
Wide open. Honestly, that dive was so deep that it kind of helped them from going to the Roshan for a while longer. It could have gotten cut off. And in fact, because it took so long, HFN is now back.
HFN out here, throwing in the right clicks, manages to find the kill onto Sexy. They will trigger out the Stone Gaze to ensure that they can pick up this Aegis. Yarumi jumped into the pit, gonna tank quite a few right click damage of her. Oh, not gonna be able to get out in time, and they end up losing the Dawnbreaker. Tabo now finds himself in a bad place as he's been hit with the Primal Roar indirectly from Robo-Z with a major right click from Burner. They find that kill, and Balrogs Esports, I think we're having deja vu of game one, because Burner is feeling himself at that level, and especially Robo-Z, honestly. 10-0-5 right now on this Void Spirit, just making everything happen for his team. Like up to and including happily diving bases and still being able to track back for the fight in time.
Absolutely incredible. The one thing that Wolf Team have going for them here, you can see here, the Invokers had a pretty decent game. And look at this damage!
Morty's Kisses do a good job. They take away this Aegis. This could be quite good. There's no BKB. Requiem will come out. Solar Guardian will be there as well from Yarumi. They're closing the gap. They really want this Medusa. Will they be able to save her? No, they cannot. Robo-Z, though, looking for some degree of revenge or just escape. Soulbind's been out on the Invoker and the Shadow Fiend. Everybody else from Balrogs will endeavor to escape. They might catch Draken here, though. Tabo, will he be able to catch up to him with the Rolling Thunder? Should be able to. First hit is on. They've got him. Sunstrike not even needed as they find the kill with Tabo's Swashbuckle. So signs of life. They lose out the Aegis, but they make sure not just to take the fight afterwards, but they defend this here to tower middle. They get kills on several important heroes, including Medusa, and they clean up the Beastmaster army on top of getting the kill on the hero himself.
Yep, a couple of big things happening there. One of them is HFN showing up with this BKB, finally untouchable by the Void Spirit, who is the biggest threat in this game. And next to that as well, this was not a fight that started like all the previous fights started, where Robo-Z picks somebody off immediately and throws everything into disarray. This was a siege situation. And in a siege situation, the team fight abilities of Wolf Team get to line up really nicely. They get to pick everything out without having to react to one of their heroes immediately getting disabled. So it looks like Balrogs are going to need to eke themselves out a bit of a bigger item advantage before they can try doing that again.
Sometimes in Dota 2 it happens that you are a bit too far ahead. Not far ahead enough that you can just crush the game, but far ahead enough that it breeds some overconfidence. And Balrog Esports will have to slow things down a little bit, get more farm for Burner, and just like in game one, not being shy about buying BKB on this Medusa. Saw what happened after their Requiem play in middle, so realizes that this is the only available counterplay for him in terms of itemization. But on the other side though, scary things are happening because the double BKBs are up. Now 40R also has access to one. Between the double BKBs and Tabo's Rolling Thunder, he's even going for the early Aghanim Shard. We're yet again going to have a situation like in game 2 where Balrog Esports will struggle to just have the free play that they had available to them before the BKBs were available.
And it especially matters for Robo-Z. Another target escapes. Not only is he going to have to wait with going on the course until the end of the fight because he has no way to stop them from BKBing, so he will have to pick off supports. That means that the rest of his team is going to be fighting the enemy course face to face now. We saw the Medusa not quite hold up there. But also, after this, the Invoker finally has space in his build to get to that Hex that he's had queued up since minute 5.
Whew. It's been a long time coming, a long road. But for the belief might pay off. We'll see if their belief pays off during the smoke movement though. Weaver almost came close to being able to break it, but looks like our way are content to break it themselves. They haven't found a viable target, so they're just going to dip back into their own jungle, keep farming in that direction. It has been really, really scary times for this Invoker of 40R, but he's done a really good job. Avoided dying too many times, only the 2. And now they might want to take a fight top. HFN is in with the BKB, and look at the right-click damage out onto Sexy. Woo! There used to be a Grimstroke somewhere around here. Somebody sent out a search party because Sexy just got sheerly right-clicked. At the same time, though, that was the 8-second BKB charge. I suppose HFN will take it, but that has to be very worrying going forward about the prospect of these supports surviving the fight while BKB is active.
And now we enter this kind of standoff where the team that gets a good jump can take the entire team off the basis of their right clicks of their carry. But if that doesn't happen, then you're in for a world of hurt.
We're getting some jump from Draken. He's bringing in a Blink Dagger right now, so we'll have the Blink. I don't think there's that many 4-stars on the side of our way. I've seen the one on King RD, but I think... Oh no, there's 2. Okay, so the 2 4-stars will actually be really effective against this Blink Primal Roll. And we might see its effectiveness come now, because a fight potentially could be on the top lane. Tavo gets scouted out first inside the trees. They should be able to clean up his life. Easily happening with RoboZ showing off this Aghanim Scepter. Nice kill to get on this Pangolier. Forces back the rest of the Our Way Wolf team lineup. They're not going to be allowed to pursue this fight really. Although HFN does go for this MKB. Picked it up very early on. Wants to be able at all stages of the game to right click against this Deucer. And like you said, if he knows that he has to go directly up against her 1v1, he needs to make sure that he's as strong following the game as he was in the previous fight that they had here in this mid lane.
She's got that BKB though. Now back on her track towards that Skadi, and that BKB is going to matter, especially versus the Invoker. We saw the amount of work that EMP did on her, how much of her effective HP she loses when that mana shield gets taken away like that. So this is a big moment for her. It's going to make her a much, much harder target.
What? Are you kidding me? Look what she just picked up. Like seriously? A Titan Sliver for Medusa? Okay, that seems 100% fair to me. I see no problem with this. And I know that you are legendary, Kips, for your love of neutral items and how much you think they improved the game of Dota 2.
I mean, I think that the passive ones aren't even the worst. I think the passive ones are a demonstration of the inherent design problems, which is that a neutral item can either do something and therefore be imbalanced because of interactions, or it can do nothing really noticeable like the Titan Sliver, and then what is it adding? Well, happiness to the carry's heart in this case.
There's no happiness in the heart though of RoboZ, and he's getting gone on, needs to jump away. He's still alive in the midst of this fight though. There's a Soulbind out onto Tavo, not allowing this Rolling Thunder to be super effective in this area. They've already taken out the Dawnbreaker. The damage though out onto Zisa. They get the kill onto the Weaver. RoboZ trying to get out of the fray, still alive right now. So they just end up trading supports here in this little fray, this little fracas that ends up happening around the side of the map. Medusa wasn't involved in it. Everybody from our way was, however. So that is going to be...
40R once more.
We get more. Does get catch onto Sexy. However, there are support heroes nearby to be able to render assistance, and they will not allow 40R to chase down their very, very, very sad Grimstroke, but who's also carrying very precious cargo. The Gem of True Sight. Losing it at this stage of the game against the Invoker would be just terrible, terrible. So, great job from them to keep him alive. Still, this game is...
Would have been absolutely disastrous. Meantime, I've been watching RoboZ build up his bank account. He was at 2.4k gold before he actually queued up this BKB. I think it's for the best. He would ideally want something like maybe a Hex, maybe an E-Blade, really increase his offensive potential again now that he's reached his soft cap here. But unfortunately for him, if he does not go BKB up versus the Orchid that's now on the Invoker, Did not go for the Hex in the end. Interesting. He is going to die. He has had such a free game up until now that it would be an absolute shame if he didn't keep that game free.
Yeah.
And itemized greedily.
Certainly he understands that the reason he's been as effective as he is because of the freedom of movement that he's had in the fight. So it's an item that's going to allow him to keep that same freedom. For the side of 40R, now that he does have Orchid, you know, I was actually kind of hoping that he'd get this Hex, especially against the Medusa, but Orchid will still serve a very viable function, at least until the BKB emerges for Robo Z. Shouldn't be too far away at this point. They're not about 800 gold, and HFN been hit with the Primal Roll. They're going in with the Stone Gaze, but Tabo interrupting all of this with the Rolling Thunder. HFN teeping out. He doesn't want to be involved in this anymore. At the same time, they manage to take out 40R. Robo Z catches down the Invoker. King RD, can he get himself out of here? No, he cannot. Loses his life as well. And Robo Z really wants Yadomi. They have vision with the Swarm Bugs. Won't be able to chase that deep, though. Ultimately, the big prize was picked up on the life of 40R. That's going to lead into them grabbing a tier 2 tower as well. And depending on how long they spend in this area, they might get lucky enough and wander into the pit just as the big man respawns.
Huge possibility. And Rolling Thunder is going to be down for a little bit, but even then it doesn't matter because the Soulbind is still up. This Wolf team is in a disastrous position right now.
Very sad place as Roshan comes back. Burner still going to be content to siege this high ground. Are they going to try force a buyback here from this Invoker? With this 5v3, they might not know that the Grimstroke isn't here, but our way still are not going to try and pursue a fight. As the usage of the Glyph of Fortification will emerge though, they realize, yeah, it's a good time to back off. Simultaneously, our way, the Wolves team recognize that they need to try and do something right now, while Balrog is not really aware of what's happening, and they found Robo Z. Can they find this kill? It's all important, but no! He's still on, he's still alive, he gets off with the spider legs. Sexy will die, but it looks like he's pawned off the gem to somebody else, so it's not going to be that big of a deal if he loses his life. BKB popped now by the Medusa. Oh no, they found HFN, but the double Force Gloves getting him as far away from this Beastmaster as possible. Unfortunately though, 40R got himself Stone Gaze through the BKB, so he ends up losing his life. HFN on the high ground triggers off the Requiem, sends back the Weaver. And they manage to squish the bug, but the more important targets should be able to escape here. Robo Z with the spider legs, and the escape is on for this Void Spirit. Absolutely no way to catch up, and he finishes the BKB in the process. And while Invoker's dead, they're like, oh, this might be a good time to go say what's up to Roche. Invoker forced to buy back instantly, but even if they don't end up getting this Roche, Balrog Esports now can just position around this area, wait for the fight to come, because our way, the Wolf team, do not want to have bought back for nothing on 40R.
There's a BKB on Robo Z now. Balrogs have division advantage here with the Boars, with the Hawks.
Roche is dying really quickly though. They need to do something soon if they want to try and stop this. Buyback will come in, and they're actually going to smoke Kips. They want to take this fight. They know that if they find 40R, they can get the dieback out. Draken has Blink Primal Roar in another 5 seconds. Soulbind is already on. Will they find something? Robo Z, his smoke will pop. Doesn't want to get involved anymore. Will decide to back a little bit. Tabo going in. Rolling Thunder. They catch out Burner. Will they be able to get out the Primal Roar? Yes, they do. HFN stalled out in position. Robo Z jumping him as well as the Soulbind onto the Shadow Fiend and Pango. Both of them gonna get eviscerated. Now 40R recognizing how alone he is. Needs to flee away from this fight. Doesn't want to die back, but unfortunately can no longer render assistance. As they give up the ghost, they run away. Balrog Esports will claim the Roshan. What a reward for what an amazing fight for themselves.
Loving the positioning on that Medusa there in that little corner where she's sure Tavo can get her. And then when the Grimstroke is finally in a good enough position and they got both Tavo and HFN where they want them, double link, nothing they can do anymore. Devastating.
The crazy thing for me about that fight was Burner was also 3 seconds away from having Stone Gaze when they jumped him. And if they had the additional disable without the Soulbind coming in, it might be a time where you start to believe that Burner is still mortal, but it's proven to not be the case. And now without buyback on either Tavo or HFN, this feels like at least 2 lanes of Rax here with how quickly this army can help them push.
HFN had buyback before that fight. He bought out, I believe, for the MKB.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So now without any access to this SF, they're making this push happen. EMP Burn will be there with Tornado, but it will not be nearly enough to dissuade Burner and the gang. They will take the second lane of Rax. They will put themselves ahead. They are here rewriting history. They lost in the first qualifier matchup, but in the opening matchup of the DPC, they're not that far away, Kips, from securing the total victory for themselves. They just have to play this siege very, very carefully.
Yep, and that would mean a win over basically SG Esports. These guys are expecting to be in the upper division next tour. If they lose this one here and Balrogs plays a good enough season, they won't be. Balrogs can keep them out.
My goodness. Truly a scary time. I mean, maybe they get in on the second slot, you know? It'll be fine.
It's possible.
But you're definitely correct that just looking at the names on the roster, you just think SG Esports, they should just be, you'd like they should automatically just be in, but it's not working out for them right now. They are having a rough time here in this third game. They were able to get into qualifiers in the quote-unquote easy route, but Balrogs clearly has taken positive lessons from all the games they've now played against the side of the Wolf team. Now it really comes down.
This siege situation, man. There's an Aghanims up on his Weaver now. We gave him quite a bit of farm priority. Yeah.
Okay. Jeffet. He's gonna tank a couple right clicks here from Burner. Burner can siege forever. Oh, the fourth door forward. They want the primal roll. They catch it onto the shadow feed. Soulbind out onto the Pangolier as well. Tarbo's gone. HFN's about to follow him. Silenced up before he can even trigger the Requiem. And with no lives left, no buybacks available, they can do nothing to try and help defend this. In fact, they can do nothing at all. They call it GG, well played is cleared. And Balrog Esports take game number 3. They take the series. They get their first win here in the South American DPC lower division. Woo! Cheer Kips. What a performance from them in this third game.
They are really flexing, and the biggest flex of all is, of course, RoboZ's performance in this game. What an absolute masterclass at picking your rotations, game instinct, choosing your battles, 15-0-7. This was definitely the RoboZ show.
Yeah. It's like you said in the game. We had lost lanes on both sides of the map. Both at top and at bottom, and not just lost in the traditional we're being outfarmed sense. No, we're being killed sense. It was not looking good.
Yep.
RoboZ by himself says, team, I would prefer to win this game. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and get this W. Clutch rotations to the top lane to find a double kill. Clutch rotations down bottom to do the same. And it just kept happening over and over and over and over and over again. Wow, RoboZ. I have a feeling he's not going to be allowed to play much Void Spirit in the upcoming matches here in the lower division of the DPC, because a performance like this, how on earth are you supposed to play against this even?
I mean, it picked different heroes. Definitely the fact that the Invoker had to itemize against him and only got to the Orchid all the way at the end of the game was a bit of a problem. But you gotta also give credit where credit's due, right? Both of these supports throwing themselves at the enemy, getting vision for RoboZ, eagerly dying for these kills that allowed their core to snowball. It just felt like Balrogs as a team really had their game plan together this time around.
Absolutely. They knew exactly what to do. They had a very clear idea of where things were going. And of course, Burner was back on the Medusa. Obviously, it wasn't the standout performance that we saw from game 1 on this Medusa, but he didn't have to put out a standout performance. Just had to be a basic Medusa, not dying much, standing her ground and right-clicking people type of situation. And another shout out for the supports is how often Sexy was able to find the Soulbind, not just onto Tavo, but onto Tavo plus HFN, allowing Burner to just sit there, turreting away with the damage that comes in from this Dusa.
It must have felt good to play this game as Balrogs, even though they got beaten back twice with the Medusa standing up front a little bit too far. They just go back, they reset, and in the end, they get themselves a beautiful, polished victory.
Whew. Balrogs. Their first game here in the lower division of the South America DPC, and they come out with this W. They come out ahead of what used to be SG Esports. Wolf team definitely was being looked at as the best team here in the lower division. That certainly will not be the case now. Balrogs, decisive victory, and will definitely be favoring themselves in any other game if they can push the Wolf team to this degree, take them into a victory. Certainly going to be a team to watch. So the fact that they're here, the fact that they came up from the qualifiers, not a mistake by any stretch of the imagination. But now we are done. We are finished. With this game being concluded, the Balrogs will walk away very happily with their victory, keep it, and continue to learn, continue to train, because it's not like things get much easier. You know, you might say, oh, you've beaten the best team, but we've seen time and time again in the DPC that allowing yourself to rest on your laurels is ultimately a recipe for disaster. So congratulations to Balrogs. We hope to see stellar performances like this from them again. RoboZ, I think undoubtedly our MVP for this series, right? Especially after this performance.
Absolutely.
Amazing stuff. We are now finished. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and our NB comrades for joining us on this 3-game journey. And before we sign things out, Empress Kips, I want you to have the final word for what we... Please send us home after all the action that we've seen here today.
Oof, that is a rough one, because that was certainly a lot of action. All I can say is buy BKB, guys, and stay hydrated.
Buy BKB, stay hydrated, and we will make sure you're still following the channel here on Epulsa Gaming. Make sure not just to follow the channel. If you don't know exactly when any of the games are going to be going live, hop on over to Twitter, follow @Epulsa Gaming there, and you will have exact information about every single time that this DPC will be happening. It is still the beginning. Things are still going to be heating up, so you don't want to miss out on any of that action. Make sure that you're following Kips as well on Twitter so you can receive more of her wisdom and knowledge on a day-to-day basis. And of course, make sure you're following me as well. And until the next game, until the next series, this has been Snare and Kipspul. This has been Balrog Esports with the victory over Wolf's team. And this is the South American DPC lower division. We will be back. We love you. And don't go anywhere ever. Stick on the channel for some Dota 2 action. Until then.